Hello, friends. Welcome to the very first episode of K-Pop Weekly with Emily Mallon. I'm your host. I'm so happy you're here. For some of you, you may know me. For others, this is the first time you've heard my voice or seen me on video. I'm a music journalist, and I was also the executive producer and co-host of the New York City K-Pop Queens podcast. What started as a passion project to kind of get through the pandemic with my best friend turned into a podcast where we reviewed like 500. I think we did 505 new music reviews. We had listeners from all over the world, 199 countries and territories. It was an amazing experience, but all good things come to an end. We wrapped the show in May of this year. I took a little break and now I'm back. So, to our loyal queendom, our listeners from that podcast, I want to say welcome to this show. Thank you so much for your support, for your kind messages, for your encouragement. I'm really excited to be back, and I appreciate everyone that's reached out the past 5 months. We had an amazing listenership, and I'm hoping a lot of you come with me to this show. I appreciate you being here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a Yinzer. I love the Steelers. I've lived all over the country. I lived in Kansas City, spent most of my adult life in New York City, and I just moved to LA. So, anyone in Los Angeles, I'm really trying to get into the K-pop scene here in LA. I go to a lot of events by myself. I go to a lot of concerts by myself. So please don't hesitate to reach out, slide into my DMs, shoot me an email. I would love to connect. I would love to be friends. Let's hang out. I'm excited to kind of immerse myself into this scene more and more. A little bit more about me before we get into the K-pop aspect. I started my career in music. I love, love, love music. I started in licensing and sync, a little bit of A&R. And then I completely changed paths. It's hard to make a living working in the music industry. Some of you may know that. So I spent most of my career working for hedge funds and wealth management. When the pandemic hit, I had this aha moment that music is the biggest passion in the world for me. And I need to talk about it. I want to be involved again. So that's where the podcast kind of came from. And then I started writing about music. And it's what I've been doing the past 3 years. I'm a music nerd. I'm really, really, really into music. I love all genres. That's kind of the cheesy thing that most people say. But I came up on hip hop, funk, soul, R&B. So you're going to hear a lot of those references in my reviews, and that style of music is always kind of home to me. That's my bread and butter. That said, of course, I'm a fan of pop music. I loved boy bands growing up. I listen to a lot of country. I'm not a music snob. I listen to everything because I love it. I love music. I think it's so exciting. I think it's the ultimate connector. It's like music is my love language, music is love, and music is connection. Like we had listeners from 199 countries and territories. I'm sure on the surface, a lot of us didn't have anything in common, but what we had in common was K-pop. We all loved K-pop and wanted to talk about it. It's really cool when you think about it, and I'm so happy to be able to bring you another show. Let's talk about K-pop. I fell in love with K-pop about 6 or 7 years ago. Like a lot of people probably listening and watching BTS. BTS was my gateway drug. I guess it was 6 years ago. It was 2017 American Music Awards. Saw BTS, and that was it. I started Googling them and watching YouTube videos. Like a lot of people that love K-pop, I just wanted to know their names. And I fell hard. I fell into this hole that I've never come out of, and I'm still obsessed. I quickly became a multi. I loved NCT 127 and Monsta X. I got into them very quickly. And ever since, I've been a huge multi. I tend to lean towards boy groups, but this is an equal opportunity podcast. I will be talking about and reviewing girl groups as well. I think the past year or so, there's been a lot of exciting music coming from the girl groups. They're killing it. But my alt groups are Stray Kids, Monsta X, NCT. I love NCT and all the subunits. EXO, I'll always have a soft spot for BTS. My alt bias, oof, this is a hard one, but my alt bias is Hyunjin. I also love Taeyong, Hyungwon, Tae, V from BTS, Bake, Baekhyun, EXO. I have a lot of biases and I have a lot of favorite groups, like most of you listening, I'm sure. But that's just kind of a little rundown of who I am if you're not familiar. For Queendom, for listeners of my last podcast, you all know this. So thank you for sticking with me through this part of the intro. Speaking of the last podcast, obviously this one's going to be a little different. There's video. I'm on video. My worst nightmare has come true. You've got to do it. I'm diving in with this one. There will be video when we have guests. So, on episodes where there's guests, there's going to be video. Most of the episodes that are strictly reviews, probably not video, because I'm not sure if you just want to watch me do this for like an hour. But there will be like, you know, TikToks and content, short form content for those episodes as well. So make sure you're following all the socials, K-pop Weekly Pod, POD. And that's on X and Instagram and TikTok and all of them, all the other ones. I don't know. There's a lot out there, but I think I have them covered. If you want to send an email, it's the same thing at Gmail. All of this information is in the description of this show. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Also, a weekly newsletter. I've got a newsletter that comes out the second the pod drops every week. So be sure to subscribe. It's free and it's just kind of a personal note from me about what's going on that week, how I'm feeling about the episode, and things of that nature. So I think I got to all of it. I really just want to share how much I love K-pop and why I think this music is the superior product. I mentioned that I'm a music nerd and I'm lucky enough to have friends in the music industry and a lot of friends whose music taste I respect. And I've heard so many times they laugh and roll their eyes when I say I do a K-pop podcast. I've had the comment, wait, but I thought you had good music taste. I do. And I'm doing this podcast because I want to keep showing people why this music is good. This isn't just a gimmicky thing. To me, it's a superior product. I love the production. I love the entire package, but I love the music. There's just really cool, great music coming out of K-pop. So I want to talk about it. And I'm going to continue to push this genre as much as I can and share the gospel of why this isn't just a foreign fad like some Western media will try to convince you. K-pop's here to stay, or as long as I have a show, it will be here to stay. Without further ado, let's get this show going. We've got a really fun one, a really fun opener. Of course, it's about the music. I talked about the music. We're going to review The Rose. Now, The Rose isn't K-pop per se, but they are a Korean band. And if you've listened to me, read my work, watched me the past few years, you know that I've pushed The Rose pretty hard. I like this group. So they have a new release. I'm going to review it. And luckily, my very first guest is a fan of The Rose. So I thought, what perfect timing to bring her in. We're also going to talk about Global Citizens and Photocards. So this is part of the fandom that I'm not totally familiar with. You know, I think we're all different. We all love aspects of K-pop for different reasons. It might be that you're in love with someone. It might be that you are really into the fashion. You love the visuals. You love the rap segments. You love cup sleeve events. There's so much that goes into this that all of us in the fandom have different interests within it. So photocards are massive. Photocards are such a big thing, and it's something that I'm not really involved in, but my good friend is. So I brought in a guest this week that's going to tell us all about photocards and kind of teach us that aspect of being a K-pop fan. Plus, we've got K-pop news. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I want to introduce the first guest on K-pop Weekly. This is Meg. Meg is a multi. Meg is a good friend. She loves K-pop as much, maybe if not more than I do. Meg and I text each other all the time about new releases. And I thought, what better guest than you for this first episode? Meg, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Meg, I will be sure to list your socials if people want to follow you, if people want to reach out. I know we've talked about how great it is to connect with other K-pop fans and make friends. I mean, we met through K-pop, and I know we've both made a lot of friends in this community. So, you guys, I'm going to be sure to list all of Meg's socials so you can reach out to her if you watch the episode and you want to connect. But before we get started with all of this amazing content, it's time for the K-pop Weekly Questionnaire. I will be doing this with all of my guests, different questions, but it's just a way for the audience to get to know you. Are you ready, Meg?
Yep.
Okay, question number one. When did you get into K-pop?
I got into K-pop in 2020, which is at this point, besides Emily, besides your like point of entry timeline, my timeline is probably the other like very common point of entry.
Yeah.
So I got into it in February of 2020. And then lucky for me, COVID was at right after that, so I had a lot of time to dive
Yes.
into it. So
Would that have been, was that when like On came out? Was that BTS release?
yeah, I got
Yeah.
into
Okay.
I actually heard that's actually kind of a lie. I 2019, fall of 2019, one of my friends from the my first job was getting into K-pop and she sent me a one we video and then a one us video. And I was like, "Great, this sounds great." And then I kind of forgot about it. And then the day that On came out, I just opened my YouTube and just like randomly on my YouTube, the On in the Grand Central station from Jimmy Fallon was on the
Yes.
like recommended, and I was like, I had heard about BTS like a day before, like just like on a random podcast, and I was like, oh, this is that group that I heard about. Like, let me just watch this, and then like YouTube showed me a few more videos, and then the next day I was like, I'm gonna go back and watch the video again. Like that was really cool, and so that's kind of like that's how it happened. So Map of the Soul 7 was like on repeat for like
Yeah.
months after that. That's like all that I played. And then I like very quickly got into other groups
Yeah.
like you, but that was like it was February 20 like 6th or something. I have it on my calendar. It's like my K-pop anniversary day.
Yeah, we all know. Isn't that weird? There's
Yeah.
major milestones in my life that I cannot remember the date. I remember the exact day. I remember where I was, the whole thing. A
Yeah.
very important timeline. Okay, next question. Who is your alt group?
Okay, my alt group is Stray Kids.
Who's your alt bias?
Alt bias is Han from Stray Kids.
Okay, girl groups or boy groups?
I will say boy groups, but I have grown much more in love with girl groups over the past like year, similar to you. So, but first the boys. Yeah.
What about third gen or fourth gen?
Fourth gen.
Okay, time for concerts. Are you barricade or seated?
Seated.
Yeah, same. Stray Kids or T by T?
It's Stray Kids. It's going to be Stray Kids,
Okay,
even though
okay.
I do love T by T a lot.
Yeah.
I really do. But yeah, Stray Kids are my ult, so I will choose them. Yeah.
What about girl groups? Speaking of Blackpink or Twice?
Twice.
Okay. And oh, okay, sorry. The next question. The boys or ATs?
No. Oh, I knew you were going to ask me about those two. ATs and the boys are like my other two alt groups, like after Stray Kids. Oh my god. I I okay, I'm gonna say ATs by like the smallest margin,
Okay.
like just the littlest bit.
Okay.
But my second alt bias is Sangyun from the boys, so I guess that's slightly up. But
It's a
I
hard
guess
one.
that's a hard one.
It's super hard. I give you credit for answering. You answered every question. You didn't try to like skate out of it. So you win. Last question. What song are you currently obsessed with right now?
I have two. The first
Okay.
one is not a new song, but recently I've been listening to Long Flight by Taeyong a
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm.
That song is such a good vibey song. But then recently, NCT 2023 came out, and Alley Oop on that album is like, it has like all my biases basically. So it's kind of like probably one of the reasons I love it. But like, I'm obsessed with that song right now. So
I love that album. I love it. I'm so mad. There's so many good albums have come out since I've taken this hiatus, and I'm so mad I didn't get to review that one because there's so much great stuff on there that I was like dying to talk about.
it
Uh,
is like all of the NCT like you or NCT like as a whole
yes.
releases, they're all usually good, but I feel like this one is the most like cohesive across the entire album. Like I feel like it flows more than I like
Mhm.
songs from all of the other albums, but I feel like this album as a whole is like
Yes.
very
Yes, yes, yes. Like they figured out the formula of like who works well and what vibe and like what songs should go here. I agree with you. It's
yeah.
really cohesive. Every single song I liked.
Yeah.
Great project. Okay, thank you, Meg, for taking the K-pop Weekly questionnaire.
Oh,
Appreciate it. That
yes.
wasn't too bad. There was only one that I think was super painful for you.
Yeah, well, and you like made it painful on purpose. So like that
Uh,
was not my fault.
duh. No, I definitely did. That was like me being so mean to Meg because I knew that exact one. We've had that conversation how she couldn't choose. So,
Yeah.
welcome to the show. Uh,
Well,
okay. Meg, you were at Global Citizens Festival in New York City this past weekend. Huge K-pop performances. So Stray Kids were on the bill. Jungkook from BTS got added late. And then something happened with Stray Kids. You guys, this was very dramatic. Stray Kids get in a car accident the week of the festival, and they can't travel, but they decide to send three of the members who were not in that car accident, who happened to be Three Racha, the amazing production team. They're insane. Um, I was a little bit concerned, I'm going to say, because they said, like, oh, it was a minor accident. Everyone's fine. Well, if everyone's fine, then why can't they travel? Because they also told us it was a minor accident when Hyunjin like broke his hand and was in a cast for 6 months and looked like he was
yeah.
in pain. I was a little bit like, I was worried. I think everything's okay, but it was a stressful week for us stays. Um, I was also very nervous for Three Racha. You know, they're so good and they're so powerful, but three rappers is different than a K-pop group doing K-pop choreography. So I felt like the cards were a little bit stacked for them, and I was nervous. I want to hear all about your experience and how it played. I'm so happy to have you here because I didn't get to go. So I need to hear all about it, Meg. How was it?
Yeah, I think I actually wasn't very nervous for Three Racha. Like I feel like they just gel so well like as the three. And what I was more wondering was like what songs are they going to do? Because the night before my friend and I were like they have to do Three Racha, the song Three Racha from Maxident. But I was also like, it just seems too good to be true that they would be able to do that song. Same with Heyday. I was like, if they do Heyday, I'm just gonna like, I could like die happy if I hear that song. But I was like, just part of me just didn't want to believe that they would do something like that exciting, even though Stray Kids usually do, they mix it up during their performances anyway, you know, they don't always do the exact same set of songs, which now I do wonder what they were going to do if the eight of them were there. But,
I know.
and they had to like just, and granted, they didn't do choreo or anything, so that
Mhm.
helped probably, but they had to prepare within like the next morning. They were on the flight after the accident of with Mina Sungmin and wait, it's Aya. No,
Hyunjin.
Hyunjin.
I'm
God.
like, hello.
Emily's like, don't forget.
I was in tears, Meg. I was
Yeah.
devastated waking up with a notice that he got in a car accident. It's like the
Yeah.
worst.
But like the three Acha were on the plane literally the next morning. So I was like, when are they going to? Anyway, this beside the point. So like I was very excited and I knew they were going to pull through, but I just didn't know what they were going to do. And then Jungkook was my first alt bias since I said I got into K-pop through BTS. So when he was added in, I wasn't originally going to go, but I was like, this is like now it's two reasons. Like my friend had free tickets they were going to give to me and my other friend. So I was like, I just have to pay for the bus. Like, it's really not that
Yeah.
big of a choice. Obviously, now we know it was a hurricane. So that was another thing. But we like get there like 9 a.m. It's torrentially downpouring. We're just standing there in our ponchos, like really just like I'm not even gonna say sad, just like we were just disassociating. We were like, just stand here, it's fine. We're just like, it's not raining. If it's raining, we're just ignoring it. Like, and then we hear like sound check. I didn't know sound check was going to be happening on the morning of, but we hear like sound check and we hear this like really deep bass. And my friend's like, it's the song Through Raja. They're like, it is Through Raja. And I was like, no, no. Now all of a sudden I was like, I don't want it anymore. I don't want to hear Through Raja. I don't want to hear Heyday. I want to leave. Like, I don't want to be here at all. Because I just was like, it's so real now. Like, that's the way. And she was like, they're like, it's definitely Through Raja. And then later, next song, this beat, and they're like, it's Heyday. I was like, no, it's not. There's no way it's Heyday. And it was. So anyway, fast forward literally 10 hours later, 8 hours later, and we finally are there. We wait for them to get on the stage. It was so funny because you couldn't bring light sticks in. So everyone
Mhm.
just had their skizoos. And we were walking through security. And I hear the security guard at the front just telling the other person, they're like, it's a lot of stuffed animals. And I was like, this must look so hilarious to people who have no idea. They had no idea what those stuffed animals were. And they were probably like, why does everyone have the same stuffed animals?
I saw, like, I will be real. I watched the live stream and it was so great to see everyone like violently shaking their stuffed animals like a light stick. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the Stray Kids have their own characters that they made. So each person has their own like cute stuffed animal. So obviously all the fans buy the stuffed animals. And in this case, you can't bring a light stick. How else can you show your support? You hold that stuffed animal up and you could see it like from the stage shots when they were on stage and
Mhm.
looked into the audience, they could totally see you guys with your stuffed animals. It was so cool.
Yeah, I was like hiding Han Kuoko a lot because I was like, I don't want him to get to whatever. He got wet anyway. The other thing I just have to say, like, we all had to have clear bags or like really small purses,
Yeah.
and so a lot of us had our clear bags. Um, and the weather was just like so terrible that like it was pouring rain the whole time. And then it's once we got in there and we're all standing, everyone really wants to get obviously towards the front, so we're all like smushed together with our ponchos. And then I was looking down my bag, and my bag was inside like condensation. It was like fogged. All of our bags were fogged up.
Uh,
My friend's Wolfchan was warm when they took it out of the bag. Like it was crazy.
oh
Um,
God.
but anyway,
Ugh.
Han Koka was like in my under my arm, kind of peeking out from my poncho. But Three Raja comes on stage. They start with Three Raja, then they did Heyday, then they did Top Line. And I also have to say that Chan did they do their first song and then they have a little thing where they talk and they introduce themselves. And the point of this was about social justice and climate change and things. And everyone else's, no offense to everyone else's, but there were a lot of very canned response discussions about these social issues. And Chan, like it's all online, like you can find it if you
Yeah.
want to. But like his was the most genuine, and it did not seem like he was reading a teleprompter. He and all of the boys spoke English. Like it was
Mm.
just not that we expect anything less from a K-pop act coming to. They were so professional. Um, but anyway, I was very proud of Chan in that moment. But I also, just as a side note, I just thought that Han looked like the cutest that he's ever looked in his like entire life. I was like blushing, like looking at him. And my friend and I were pretty close to the little side stage, so we saw Chan and Changmin came over, and they were vibing, and we actually were like pretty close to them, so that was very fun.
They looked great. Like they looked so good. And it's funny because yeah, my first instinct is like, oh no, what a disaster. These are pros. They're going to get on stage and kill it. They looked great. They were so confident. They sounded great.
It
And like
was
you said, Chan, like, it brings me back to why I advocate for Stray Kids so hard after seeing them live. They interact so well together. They interact so well with the crowd, and it doesn't feel canned. And a lot of K-pop groups are so controlled that when you see them live, they're clearly just like they memorize something to say between each song. They memorize what they're going to say when they speak to the crowd. And there's not a lot of banter. It doesn't feel comfortable. The first time I saw Stray Kids, I couldn't believe how comfortable they were for a young group. And I think that's Chan. And I think it's the trickle down effect from their leader. He's so kind of warm and comfortable. So that's great I'm happy you mentioned that.
Oh yeah. And they also it was Stray Kids and then just the K-pop factor of that they are so used to performing in any kind of circumstance
Yeah.
to any kind of crowd with the same exact level of professionalism, and also they were so relaxed. Like they were the most relaxed out of all of the people that I saw that entire day, and I'm like, they're like 24, 25 years old, 26 years old. Like it was just it just felt different. I was like, it's just different. And the vocal is just different. It was just a whole different package. And then speaking of vocals, Jungkook was, first of all, like an hour and a half later, I was like, I'm dying. Where is Jungkook? Like, please. Like, if there is a God, like, let him come out like right
Just let him come out early. We are dying.
now.
Let's get this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But like Jungkook also did songs that he's never performed live before. Like we got Still With You, and then he did 7, and then he did a medley of Permission to Dance and Dynamite and Butter.
Oh, he did
Um,
Euphoria, Still With You, Seven,
oh
Permission
yeah.
Dance Butter.
So
Yeah,
he has done
Euphoria.
Euphoria before, but like I had never
Yeah.
seen him do that. And then
Oof.
Still With You, and it was like raining, and in that moment I was like, this is perfect because obviously with the rain sounds and stuff. And he also was so professional. He looked so cute. He has this little haircut, just like funny undercut, but like it looks so good on him. And the vocal, I didn't even take like any videos because the whole time I was just standing there, just like, I can't believe that he's here. That's the closest I'll ever be to a BTS member in my entire life. So
It's funny you said that though, because like when we went to KCON, Meg and I went to KCON together this year. I didn't take like any videos of Hyungwon and Shonu, and then right after them it was Taeyong, and I just was like losing my mind too much to like be able to watch and take videos and pictures. I was like, I'm taking a mental picture, and enough people will video it. You can find it online. It's not
yeah.
a big deal.
Well, that's also kind of why I was like, maybe it's kind of good that only 3 of Stray Kids are here, because if all of them were there, I wouldn't have been able to watch any of them because there's too many. I would have wanted to like look everywhere on the stage, so it actually limited my the
Yeah,
stress to like watch everyone at once, which is also like what happens at K-pop concerts. You're like, I want to watch everyone, but I can't.
I get so stressed
So,
out about it. And I think like Stray Kids too, having it be 3 Racha, they're showing a different side to the US for K-pop groups. Because most
yes.
US fans only know BTS, Blackpink. That's like not fans, but locals, normals who aren't into K-pop. They know
Yeah.
Blackpink, they know BTS. Stray Kids to have like the rap unit who are good rappers come out and kill it like that after their amazing VMA performance where they did a song that's not traditional K-pop for locals. We know that's
Yeah.
K-pop, but they
Yeah.
didn't try to kind of water down who they are. It's a different sound. And a lot of people here have really embraced it. A lot of people who never heard of Stray Kids loved the VMA performance. So I think they're on an interesting kind of cool trajectory right now with these performances introducing themselves to the American audience.
Yeah, and I really liked too that at that event, the 2 K-pop acts that were there were different sounds, and
Yes.
it was like, and there were no, um, the straight Throughancha did a lot of their rap heavy songs, and then
Mm-hmm.
Jungkook did like beautiful vocal heavy songs, and I didn't need him to do the medley of the 3 English songs, but I
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
understand why he did it.
Yeah.
Um, but the fact that he did like his actual like the pure vocal heavy, it was just I was very happy that we had those two things too. It was like the K-pop can be like both of these different ends, you know? So that was cool.
Yes. Yes, because there's so much different stuff. And I always say that to people like, no matter what your taste, there's a K pop group for you.
Yeah.
No matter what, there's a group that's going to have music that sounds like that genre and they're going to appeal to you. I love that Global Citizens and the VMAs did this. You had Stray Kids and T by T with Anita. Both of those performances were so good at the
Yeah.
VMAs. And they were so different. Like it kind of shows just because you don't like this group or this song doesn't mean you don't like K-pop. because look how different this group is. And then same thing with Global Citizens. And how exciting that these major events are booking K-pop acts from different labels with different sounds. I love it. I hope this continues. It's a good sign
Yeah.
for K-pop. So the highlight for you, if you had to narrow it down, the highlight of Global Citizens.
The highlight was seeing Han's verse of Heyday because that is one of just the best K-pop verses that I've ever heard. And I like he sounds just so good. And he just like also the crowd during top line, just everyone doing top line. Like that video that they posted on their Twitter from the
Yeah,
backstage, and you can hear like it is so clear. That was great.
it
But
was
Han
booming.
Heyday, I'll say. Yeah,
It,
yeah.
like top line was booming. You could hear it through the live stream. And then of course there's that part in top line where they say we don't give a, and the whole
The crowd
crowd screams the F word, and it makes Chance
it's
so happy, and we're all like,
it's the
yes.
it was the same with Jungkook 7. Like everyone was singing the explicit, and he doesn't really sing it. He kind of because I was really listening. I was like,
Yeah.
what's he gonna do? And he kind of
No, he
like
like
mumbles it, and like everyone's like, it was just great.
it is
Uh,
so funny with that song and with Jungkook because like he's like, this is who I am, and I want to do the explicit stuff. But when you watch him, I agree with you. I have not seen him really project the chorus, the explicit
yeah,
version. He looks like the innocent Jungkook we all fell in love with, where he's like, oh, I don't want to
yeah.
say that
He's
word
like,
in front of everyone. What was the worst part? Before we move on, what was the worst part of Global Citizens?
I mean, I guess the rain was, I guess, the worst part. But the I will say the rain was not really an actual event. Like they can't control what the
Yeah.
weather is. But the length of time that the speakers had was like genuinely torturous. Like just given the fact that we had all I was just like read the room guys, like shorten it, just please shorten it. Like I know you got all these celebrities here and you want everyone to be able to stand on the stage or whatever, but like they're all really beautiful and put together and we all look like drowned rats who have been standing literally in the rain for 10 hours. Like please. And the other thing I'll say is we had to print out our tickets paper. We had to have a paper
Okay.
ticket. And I'm like,
Okay, that's
this is
old
a
school. Yeah.
global climate change festival. Literally,
Yeah.
this is why. Like it was so that it was so dumb. But so
I
like
think it's
that
ridiculous, like the amount of speeches. Like you said, people are standing here. They've been out here for 12 hours in like the pouring rain. You do not need to be giving speeches. Like, have someone come out and be like, hey guys, blah, 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 excited for the next act. That's it. We don't need a speech. All the information about Global Citizens is online. People can look and donate if they want. Like, yeah, I found even the TV coverage, a couple of the speeches, I was like, oh, geez, I can't imagine being there.
yeah,
I would have lost my patience.
it was like it was torturous just because we had all been there for just like so long and uh, it was like you can adjust just on the fly guys. Just change it up
Yeah.
for us, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it was worth it to see through Raja and to see Jungkook. Like it was worth it, but
Okay.
it was a long
So it was
day.
worth it. I'm happy you were able to tell me because there's no way I wasn't gonna like fly to New York for Global Citizens. It's funny though because I was reminded the one Global Citizens I was so mad that I missed was 127. NCT 127 performed at Global Citizens. Yeah,
Wait, really?
yes, I think it was. I'm gonna say it was 2019, and I remember they were like in the crowd dancing. They like watched the rest of the set, and I was so mad that I didn't go.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So Global Citizens has been a little bit on the tip here with K-pop, as they should. They're global. Like let's do it. So yeah, maybe next year, depending on the lineup.
Maybe
But
next
I don't
year.
know, Meg. The hurricanes and you and concerts. There's something going on here.
I know. I
we
was like, no way. Like again. Like why again?
when
Because
Meg
yeah,
was
KCON was
when
was a
Meg was in
hurricane as well.
LA for KCON, there was a literal like hurricane warning, and we were like, "Oh well." And then it turned into a tropical storm, but the rain was so bad, and people in LA like can't drive in rain. The roads aren't made for it. It's like you're gonna die, and they literally kept putting out emergency warnings: "Do not leave your house. Do not drive." There was not an empty seat at the concert that night. Like none of us were missing. Like
No, Emily,
create.
imagine standing in the rain that you were in for 5 minutes for 10 hours. That's like what it was
No,
like. It
no,
was like
no,
terrible.
no. I've gone to like football games and things like that in bad weather, and it's just miserable. But you do hit this like mental zone where you just get used to it.
You're like,
So you're just like, I'm wet, I'm uncomfortable. Oh well. But then when you like get home or you get out of it, oh, your clothes and you're cold. I thank you for being here. I told Meg before we went on air, I was worried she was gonna get sick because of global citizens. I'm like, oh no.
yeah, I feel fine so far. So,
Let's move on because I can't wait to talk about this one. I mentioned it in the intro, but we are going to review the latest from the Rose. The Rose are not technically K pop, but they are a Korean band. It's four members. They're a rock band. They play their own instruments. They debuted in 2017. If you listen to my old podcasts or if you follow me on social, you know I'm a massive fan. I've been pushing these guys for years. I love them. And they just released an album. Meg is a massive fan. We've both seen them in concert. So I thought, what better way start things off than a review of these guys? The new album is called Duel. It's 11 tracks and they released three singles. So we have like three different styles in these singles. And there's kind of a lot to talk about with the album, but I want to talk about the singles and get your opinion on your favorite one. So they released Back to Me. And then, kind of the B side for that one, which they did put out a music video for as well, was called Alive. And then they released You're Beautiful. Meg, what were your thoughts on these songs? And what would you say your favorite one is?
my favorite one is Back to You. Back to Me.
Yes,
Back
back
to
to
me.
me. I can't make you come
Sorry.
back to me. Yeah.
Back to yeah, I just sang it in my head to figure out what
Same.
I know you just said it, but I just blanked. Back to Me is my favorite. I Alive is closely followed. I
Okay.
really like kind of louder songs, but I kind of
Mm,
like
mm,
emo loud songs, like kind of angsty but
mm.
like pop angsty. And that's why Han is my favorite member of Stray Kids. But like
Interesting.
I feel like Back to Me has like just that really like addictive beat, and the way that they're singing it is like there's emotion in it, but it also is like very easy to listen to.
Hmm.
Um but and that's when I listened, like when I heard it the first time, I didn't even know that Alive had come out, and I just started playing it over and over again. And I texted my friend and I was like, "Have you heard the Rose release?" And they were like, "You mean which one did you like?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Is there another one?" And I was like, "Oh, wait." And then I listened to it and I love Alive as well, but I think Back to Me is my favorite
Okay.
if I had to choose.
Um, I
I think
like
I
Back
know
to
which
Me.
one
And
is
yes,
your
I
favorite.
like Back to Me, but that's not it. My favorite is You're Beautiful. It's
Yeah, I knew that would be.
yeah, like come on. It's so like raw and bare and romantic and like pure love. I think it showcases their vocals really well. I love the music video. They're riding bikes. It's like it's very dreamy, kind of K drama cute without being too cutesy. Um, I just love the stripped down production of that song. I think it's beautiful. I liked Back to Me and I liked Alive. Clearly, with this album, they're going a different direction.
Mhm.
They've changed direction a little bit, and I can't wait to kind of dive into that when we talk about the album. But Back to Me and Alive go with that. It's hard for me to choose. I like both of those songs. I think the bass line in Alive is really cool. It feels kind of super intense. Um, the dubstep drop in the bridge, I've got
Yeah.
to be honest, like that was so surprising. And I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I applaud them for doing something different and experimenting with new sounds. You hear that a lot. There's some like emo and kind of emo pop punk stuff. And then you've got this like dubstep 2000s chain smokers sound throughout the album as well. They're doing some different stuff here. I think some of it works and some of it didn't work as well for me, but I applaud them trying because I'm an old school Rose fan. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the romantic. You're beautiful.
Yeah.
You knew, like that's my vibe. It's
I
gorgeous
love
and
like
stunning.
because I love like the Chainsmokers beat, dubstep, synth sound. So that's why like a lot of these songs I was like, yes. I do like some of the like but like the like You're Beautiful, I've only listened to that song like twice.
Oh,
So
nope. I have a feeling when I release my most listened to songs, I do that on my Instagram story once a month. I have a feeling that could be number one for me this month. I have listened to it on repeat. I'm so obsessed with it. That's why this is going to be a fun review because we clearly have different music tastes and styles.
yeah.
So that's the singles, but I want to talk about the rest of the album. Which other songs maybe stood out to you?
My two favorite songs besides the be like the pre-release ones
Mhm.
are Lifeline and Cosmo.
Okay. I loved Lifeline.
Oh.
I like the intro. You know, the Rose does that quite a bit, where they have like a instrumental only intro. And here they do it twice with Dawn and Dusk. They separated the album kind of into two different
Mhm.
vibes, two different sounds. I like Dawn. I like the start of this album. It sounds like hopeful. It's a little more upbeat. It kind of lets you know this isn't heel. They've moved into a different realm. And I liked the sound of it. It's nice to listen to. I love Lifeline. It's positive. I could be your lifeline. The lyrics are great. I know what it's like being hopeless, but there's better life on the other side. All of that I love. It's very warm and comforting. Love the build to the chorus. You still have some EDM stuff in here, but in this song, I thought it really worked.
Mhm.
What about Cosmo? What did you like about Cosmo?
It was similar, like, I just really liked that beat that they had underneath it. I liked the more kind of upbeat songs on this album, I think,
Mm,
so when I was listening to it, that was the part that it was just the underlying sound of the whole thing, I think, that made
hmm
me really like it. I find it, actually, like, I'm looking at the album, like, in order right now, and it's interesting
hmm
because, like, the dawn between the dawn and the dusk, like, the dawn songs, You're Beautiful and Nauseous, Back to Me, and Lifeline, it kind of like it is hopeful, but, like, nauseous, and
Yeah,
Back to
no.
Me are kind of like, I'm trying to figure out, is this just, like, different like, the 5 stages of, like, a breakup or something where you're like, "I love the person," but then it's like, "You make me really nauseous and, like, I'm sick of you," and then it's like, "Oh my god, I need to bring you back to me, like, how am I going to do that?" And then it's like, "Wait, but you're my lifeline." It's, like, very maybe they're confused. Maybe that's the point is they're, like,
No, because you know
confused?
what? I read an interview as I was preparing for this tonight. That the singer Woo-sung, he said that dawn was more of like a bright daytime vibe and dusk was darker. And I'm
Mm,
happy you brought that up because I feel the same way. I think if that's the concept they were going for, they could have really gone there musically and made a real distinction. And I didn't really feel it because like Wonder and Cosmo seem a lot happier to me than Back to Me and Nauseous. Like
right.
it didn't work for me, the duality that they were going for in the marketing so dramatically. Sonically, the sound doesn't work for me. I'm like, this all kind of, I don't get it. To the point
Yeah,
that when
it's
like when Dusk came on, I was like, what is this? This is the break? Oh, okay. And then I think the song after Dusk is Angel. And that one
mhm,
sounds a little dark. Kind of a weekend inspired vocal from Trevor Daniel to start off, but it's not that dark of a song. And I've got to say, with Angel, I wasn't in love with that feature. No shade to him. I just didn't think it was like amazing. I loved James Reed on Say Yes, right? Like
mhm.
that's one of my favorite songs from last album. Talk about upbeat. But I thought with Angel, it didn't really add anything. It's a
Yeah, I
good
almost didn't
song, but
like, I know what the Rose members sound like, so it's not that I didn't realize, but I almost didn't really realize that it was, like, a different person, you know? It didn't really seem to me and I
and
don't
yeah,
actually know who Trevor Daniel is, so, maybe this, like, all makes more sense if you actually know him
no,
know
because
them, but, like
there were so many effects on his voice as well. I felt like it was any singer you could have picked up the street, put all these effects on, and then Wu Sung comes in. And you're like, okay, there's Wu Sung. Okay, here we go. But it was just that was an example. I go off about features a lot because I think when you add a feature, it better add something to the album or else I'm going to be disappointed. And this one, I was like, we don't need this. And the song was okay, but it wasn't like this amazing song. And that was the first song on like the dark side. And it's this like romantic song about an angel. So
Yeah, I would
concept
like to
wise,
know, maybe later there's going to be like a deeper article about like maybe I should sit down and just like listen to the lyrics specifically in like order, because I've been listening to the album in order, but maybe that will
mhm.
help me a little bit because I was also like the the dawn and the dusk sides, there's all different sounds in like both of them. I guess I could
Yeah.
more easily compare like if you just think that dawn is back to me and dusk is alive, like then because those are
Yes.
both on like each sides, then I almost feel like the dawn is like the part of dawn where it's not like bright morning, but it's almost
Exactly.
like I feel like I read them. I might just be making this up, but I feel like I heard or read when they were talking about the album before it was released that the dawn is like it's kind of like when you're at a festival all night and then like the dawn is starting to
Mm.
come up. So it's still like the leftover of like
The
the night
darkness is still
before.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
The
darkness is
hazy
still there.
darkness is still lingering.
And then the
Okay.
dusk is almost like it's the end of the day and you've like completed everything and it's like a little more
Like
like of a
happy?
relief maybe. Yeah.
I don't
Which
know.
like
I think that they weren't going for that. I think you're giving a good excuse here for why this doesn't totally work. I think they wanted it to be very separate because if you look at the concept photos, if you look at the artwork, it's supposed to
yeah.
be like yin and yang,
Yeah.
dual, bright flowers, darkness.
Flowers and thorns. Yeah.
Yes, I just think they could have gone so much farther concept wise and musically. It's a good concept. I love it. But like the division isn't there.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's just some stuff that's a little confusing.
if they didn't tell us that it was going to be dual, and like every song is great on this album. It was
Yeah,
such an
just don't have
easy
that.
when I listened to it the whole way through. It was perfect. Like it was even the interludes of Dawn and Dusk, I thought were great. Like it flowed very well. So
Mhm.
I didn't have complaints about the sound of the music like whatsoever. But
It
because
does
it's like
flow.
dual,
Yeah. It does feel like a cohesive album.
yeah,
I would definitely say that. Like you can tell where they're going and what they're trying to do with this one. I liked Eclipse. I think that's a good song. That's on the Dusk side because it's
yeah,
kind of that bare opening. Wu Sung's exposing his soul. So obviously I'm gonna love that one. But I think in Eclipse, which was different for me, there's like this infectious beat and this poppy chorus comes in, and it's kind of another song of hope. So it's a little bit kind of about getting out of the dark, I guess. So that's why it was on the dark side.
hmm
Um, but yeah, I liked that song there. I want to give a shout out to that song, the synth horn thing that was going on there. That sound was very effective.
yeah.
Obviously, Alive is good.
What other songs did you
Um,
like, Emily? What were your faves?
I think we went over them really. Dawn, You're Beautiful, Back to Me, Lifeline,
Hmm.
Eclipse, and I would put Alive in there as well. Those are the songs I was like, yeah, these are great. Um, my overall theme on this, they wrote a lot of this album in Tokyo, and they said that they were kind of inspired by that and by the nightlife and the energy. And then also, they've been playing, the Rose has been touring and playing nonstop, and they played so many festivals this year. And they said that they were really inspired by DJs, like the DJs they saw at Coachella. So all of that makes sense to me when you hear the
That
album.
makes
I think
sense. Yeah.
right? It all feels like I get where you guys were coming from with this. I also think musically this direction makes sense going into a big tour. They're about to do their biggest tour in North America and Canada. It's an arena tour. So you can't just have a bunch of like sad, depressing, introspective, reflective songs. For me, yes, you can. I would love to just stand in an arena and cry for 2 hours. Like, please, if they could keep putting those songs out, and I will be number one fan forever. I love the sad songs from the Rose. That's like a very specific thing that I am just obsessed with. But I understand not everyone wants to cry for 2 hours,
Yeah,
and you need some
I
upbeat stuff
want to
for an
be
arena
like
tour.
I want to be like
Yes.
jumping and like like be like so happy. And like to even if it's like actually sad, if it sounds like there's like a lot of energy, I'll still be like,
Yes.
yes.
So I totally exactly. So I totally get that. And I think it is the direction they should be going right now. It's interesting because when I was thinking about this, it reminds me a little bit of the direction that Coldplay went, their path as a band, because they had like 3 or 4 albums that were very similar when they came out, right? They had like Parachutes and Rush of Blood and X and Y. And then they like totally switched it up. Um, but before they kind of went into like the happier electronic thing, they had this like middle album where Violet Hill and like Viva La Vida. So they kind of like gave their fans an inkling of what was to come without totally
Mm.
jumping ship and going into the electronic stuff. And I think that really worked. Because then when they got into like Paradise and Every Teardrop is a Waterfall, their core fan base wasn't totally turned off, but the music was current. It appealed to radio and it appealed to the masses. So I loved what Coldplay did with that. And I think that that's kind of a template for what a band like The Rose could be doing and should be doing. I just don't know. For me, this album didn't knock it out of the park. I think it's good, but it's hard with them when you have like the raw vulnerability that they've put out and they write their own music and they put out, if you guys haven't listened to them, go listen to them. They put out these beautiful songs that are heartbreaking and sad and obviously speak to me. And you have Woo-sung, who has one of the most interesting voices, not just in Korean music, but really he's got this vibrato and this voice break that's so interesting. um, I'm not sure if this style of music lends itself to the talent that's already in the group. Um, like we mentioned, like Chainsmokers, they can put any vocalist on a Chainsmoker song. It doesn't matter. So there's stuff like that that I feel like maybe did a little bit of a disservice in gaining new fans to the talent that I see and that I love with the Rose. So that's kind of why I'm not like in love with this album. The more I listen to it, the more I like it. But I think if I was to steer this group into their next phase of a more upbeat tone, I would have done a little bit different of an electronic sound, maybe something a little more current, because I think some of this is a little bit dated.
Mm.
And then again, my criticism of the dawn and dusk, there wasn't enough differentiating there for the concept. So that was a little bit confusing. I would have liked like super bright and super dark, or make it like a little bit lighter and then like really sexy. There's so much opportunity there. And I immediately think too of like DPR Ian, and how he has like Mito and Mr. Insanity, and how he
Yeah.
really, really goes there with the concept. Go there with the concept. If you're going to do it. Because I just feel like this one didn't quite hit that mark of kind of something new and fresh and exciting. I see where they're trying to go. And I do think I'll love these songs even more in an arena. I'm so excited for the tour. I am going to the Forum. I will be reviewing it on this show. But on first listen, those were kind of my takeaways. It
Mm.
sounds like you may have loved the album a little bit more than me. What are kind of your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think I'm like maybe slightly not like easier to please, but like I I don't know. I sometimes am just like this sounds fun, like, if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not exactly it, like it doesn't hit the concept, I don't really mind.
Well, and to be clear
But
too, like Meg's like a guest that's doing this review with me. Like I like critique music. Meg's
yeah,
like
I
an
don't
amazing fan. That's not like she's being a trooper doing this because I know she's a fan of the Rose. So
yeah, I love your reviews. I just like don't I love a lot of music, but I am not very good at differentiating like different sounds, and I just like, you know, just if like the beat is good, and then like also but then it could be super emo, then I really like it. Um and so I was very like pleasantly pleased with the
okay,
album. Like I
okay,
do, since we're talking about the two different sides of it, I do agree, like since they made it such a thing they were going to be different,
yeah,
like, but also like they might have been thinking, on Heel we did so much like, you know, more emotional, deep thinking work. We like took our fan stories, made them into songs. We like had Jaehyung like talk all about like how he felt in the military and
Yeah.
like really pour their hearts out. And before that, they did Beauty and the Beast, which is like also very emotional. So I feel like
All of it.
maybe, yeah,
Everything they've
maybe
done.
they were like,
Insomnia, Sorry, She's in the Rain. Their whole
yeah,
catalog really, I mean, you have a little deviation from that with like California and Red.
yeah.
And I think that really worked. But yeah, I see what you're
I feel
saying.
like it might just be, and like you said, they were influenced by what they did when they were doing their tours. Like maybe they were just like, let's do something else. Like this is gonna be super fun and we'll just like have fun with it. They're clearly having such a good time, even just filming the content and stuff for the
Yeah.
album. So I feel like I'm just like, if they're having a good time, then like
Meg is ready to rock out to
yeah.
these songs on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they want to be rock stars. Like you want to
But
play the upbeat stuff and be rock stars. I totally get it.
I do agree that like some of the EDM is like slightly old. And I love like I love Don't Wanna Cry by 17. That is like the
Yes,
Chainsmokers 17 song.
it's
Like
a great song.
I love that song, even though it was made like 6 years ago and now that beat
But
is
that's
not
what I was
as
going to say,
popular
though.
anymore. But
But that's what I was going to say. It was made 6 years ago, so it
yeah,
still was in a window where that could work and that sound worked. If they put that
I
out
it's
now, it would still be good, but it'd be an interesting sound.
yeah. It's interesting, two things. Like one of the on Cosmos, I was listening to it earlier today, and it reminded me of that The Wanted song. You know that the what I do you know like
Yes,
Until the Night is Over or like the
you
night
got
the
stop.
what
I love The Wanted. That
yeah,
The Wanted. Anyone from The Wanted that's watching this, big
come
fan.
on.
Max George, I believe that was his name. Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes,
his name.
yes. Like obsessed. Love The Wanted. They should have been much bigger. The American
They should have.
industry screwed them over like they always do with foreign and British boy bands.
Yeah.
Yes, I know The Wanted.
Yeah, that song Cosmos sounded like that song of theirs.
Interesting.
The hold on.
I know, go
I
look it up.
like it's We Own the Night. Oh my god, I love
Okay.
that
Yep.
song. It just
Yep.
reminded me of that, which makes sense because that was also written like 6 years ago. It's interesting. That was just something I thought of when I was listening to the album. But a similar critique has been given to
Mm,
Stacey's new
yes.
song, Bubble.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just listened to Stacey's new song and I'm like, this is so great, so cute and poppy. But the beat is very like more it's slightly dated in
Yeah.
the sound. It's like
Yeah.
just like a very standard, EDM house beat. So I wonder if like I don't know if that's gonna like come up more. I'm not sure if that's just like a one off, but when you
They're
said that it
bringing it
reminded
back.
me.
They're bringing it
Yeah.
back. For me, selfishly, like I want kind of drum and bass and UK garage. Like I like that sound, and I think if you're going to bring something back, an EDM sound, but from 20 years ago, raves in the UK do that. That's like so cool. This just sounded, yeah. I think if in 2023, if it reminds me of the Chainsmokers, that's probably not the best sound, and you need to kind of freshen it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a little bit like, "Arr." But I'm also going to be extra hard on the Rose because I love them. Like they're one of my favorite groups. I saw them last year at the Palladium here in LA, which is a smaller venue. They're phenomenal live. If you guys haven't
They
seen
are.
them, buy tickets for this tour. Meg's seen them. They're such talented musicians. I talk about Woo-sung obviously all the time, but the other members can sing and they get to sing. So even though you have this guy with this amazing voice, um, it's the cool thing about K-pop, which they've carried into this Korean rock band. Everyone gets a chance to shine, and they get lines and they get to sing as well. And the other members are super talented. Like it's a super talented group. I'm interested to see this on tour. I can't wait to see this on tour. I think my opinions will change. I will keep you guys updated. But before we leave this review of the Rose's new album, I'm going to rank my initial impression of the songs. So from my least favorite to my favorite, number 11, Wonder. Number 10 was Dusk, just kind of the filler moving forward. I liked Dawn a lot more for whatever reason. Number 9 was Cosmo, but now I'm going to go back and re-listen because you brought up that one in reference, and that might change. Number 8 was Nauseous. Number 7, Angel. Number 6, Dawn. Number 5 was Alive. Number 4, Eclipse. Number 3, Back to Me. Number 2, Lifeline. And number 1 song on this album for me is You're Beautiful. So there it is. I'm sure that will change as I listen to it more. But this album just came out a few days ago. We're doing this review. And upon listening and kind of ranking, that's where my ranks are. So yeah. Meg, your list would be probably similar but different. Cosmo was down there for me, and you loved Cosmo.
Yeah, I agree. Most of your ranking was like super similar to mine. I feel like I would bring You're Beautiful. Maybe I would, honestly, maybe I'd switch your Cosmo and You're Beautiful. And then that might almost be like the same for me,
Interesting.
almost.
Interesting. And that's when like, it's funny because I used to talk about this when I reviewed albums on my last podcast with my partner. That's when you know a song's good, when people that have different music taste both pick it. And we're going through their whole album. And even though we came in with really different, Meg's like, I want to rock out. I love emo. I want something I can jump up and down to. I'm like, I want to cry and be depressed. And we still have a similar list. So I don't know, guys. This seems like a definitive ranking. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, let us know.
Yes. Thank you so much for doing that with me. Yeah, love you, love you, love you, The Rose. Excited for this new tour. And I'm
Yes.
excited after this album. I think this is a big album in their career where they're going to go musically next time. If they're going to kind of go back, if they're going to try a different genre, if they're going to push harder in this direction, it'll be interesting which way they go. So excited for that. Let's move on because we have so much to talk about. And I want to get to the meat of this episode. I want to talk about photo cards because, like I mentioned in the intro, I'm not a collector. So, what I do, I buy albums, I open them up. I'm like, cute, cute. I look at all the pictures. Of course, I'm excited about who I got. But then I either put a card like on my refrigerator, I'll just like put a magnet on it. Or sometimes I put them in the back of my phone. Or I just put them right back in the album with all the other goodies, close it, and put it away. Meg was horrified, y'all. When Meg came to my apartment, she was like, What? What do you mean?
It's literally a drawer, with just like albums. There was like photo cards just sitting. There was like random pre-order cards. There were like, you had an album you hadn't even opened. You had like an extra 127 album, and I was like, Emily, this is like sealed. Like what? And the photo cards are of no protection. I was like, oh my god.
Meg was like, it was a nightmare for her, and for me, I just I buy the
It's
albums of the
fine.
group.
It's okay.
Yes, we're all different, and I buy albums of the groups I really love because I want to support them. So, and I like the physical copy, and I do like having the photo cards to like put in my phone, put in my fridge. But I know that a large number of fans are really into them, and I learned about this more through my friendship with Meg because Meg has a YouTube channel that will be listed where she shows like unboxing and she shows her collection. And I've always been fascinated by it because it's such a different world than what I do and how I am with my albums. As you can see, look behind Meg right now. Meg is a collector. So I
Yes.
wanted to talk about this and learn about photo cards. When did you start collecting, Meg?
I started collecting in 2021 because and it was my friend Rachel's fault, my best friend Rachel, who I met online through K-pop. Almost all everything that I do, I blame on her, and everything she does, she blames on me. So we like influence each other. But I had been following like unboxers and collectors on YouTube, and the whole time I was just watching it because it's kind of like relaxing, like to see people just like flip through things. It's kind of like light ASMR, like a little bit. You're just like seeing people look at, and it was fun to see like the different albums that I didn't buy at the time. I would buy like a few albums, but I didn't have like too many, and I saw people store their photo cards, and I was just like, that's cool. I'm like never gonna do that. And then my friend Rachel just sends me one day, she just sends me a template of Han's photo cards. And she's like, here you go. And I was like, why did you just send me that? Like, I'm like, I'm gonna start collecting him. So it was Han who was the first one that I started collecting, and it was right
Oh,
after No Easy. So
Okay.
that's why I was in like the fall. I guess it was in like the fall of 2021, I think. Um, and it started off with Han, and then it like spiraled, and it keeps growing. So, you know,
So when you collect, what is the process like? Like a new album comes out, how do you go about getting cards? You trade them or you buy them? Can you kind of like walk us through what the process is, and for someone that wants to get into it, where they should start?
yeah. So I have like a little a little set of like info about photocards that I can like give everyone, and then like all in I can like go into like how you get them basically. But like it stems from it stems from physical albums that K-pop groups release per like release or comeback or debut or whatever. And I feel like K-pop album sales as a whole is like its own industry. That is where the companies make, I don't know the stats, but it is where they make a lot of money. Whereas other groups in other parts of the world make a lot of money via tours. And K pop still, that is obviously how they make a lot of money. But K pop fandom has turned into, because of how these albums are packaged and the things that are included and things like that, it's like fun for people to actually buy physical things as opposed to just listening to the music online, which is how we all still listen to the music. The album buying, some people listen to the CDs or scan, now there's QR codes in some of the CDs and some of the albums instead. But I feel like people like owning things related to their group because K-pop has such a, like, you grow to get attached to the members so much, and like each album or set of releases has like concepts that are related to each other, so it's kind of fun to have like show kind of like the proof and like the journey that the groups go on, I feel like, which is why I feel like people like to buy albums and buy like every album per release or at least one album per release, because then you can kind of put them all with each other and stuff like that. So in each album there is a CD, or now again, like I said, there are smaller versions now that go by a variety of names but have like QR codes to scan instead of a physical CD. But in there you'll have a photo book with concept photos. Used to be there would just be a jewel case, just like a case with the CD in it. There was like a front cover or whatever, and that was it. Like that's how other people buy. That's how our we bought CDs when we were younger, and that's how our parents bought CDs, and before that, whatever. But in these albums nowadays, as the kind of like physical desire of fans to like own things from the groups, now there's a photo book. Now there are multiple versions of the same album. Each version will have a different photo book. It's still obviously the same members, but it could be a different concept. Some of it's from the music video, some of it is just like random, whatever their, creative team has decided to do. And then they'll usually have like stickers, they'll have the lyrics in some way, they'll have the way to listen to the music, and then there'll be a variety of like what collectors call like random inclusions. And that will be when the group releases like a pre-order or like info about the album, they'll tell you this is everything that's included in the album. They tell you the dimensions and stuff too, of like everything. And they blur out what the actual like images look like, but they'll tell you this is going to come the whole, if you buy an album, there are this many possible photo cards. This amount are going to be in each one, and you can kind of divide that by the members to figure out how many versions of each member there's going to be. But then there could also be like a random member postcard, or like a smaller postcard that kind of looks like a Polaroid picture, or like a film strip, or a four-cut photo, or a bookmark, or like a coaster, or like stickers with the member's face on it. Like so many different things like that. And that, in buying that, if you didn't care about, like, if you just wanted to buy the album, maybe to listen to the music, or you just wanted like Emily, you want to buy like from your favorite group because it shows support and things like that. Like, to you, whatever comes in the album, you're like, oh, cool, like this is great, and you'll keep it, or you'll put it like a little box. Some people have it like in a little box or whatever. But if you're someone who, and I like am not a, like, I don't like a lot of to have a lot of clutter and like stuff around my house and like in my space, but I do like to like complete things. So I feel like that's kind of how I
You're a
came about this.
collector. Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked seeing other people have, like, completed collections or, like, sets of albums and how it looks on the shelf and stuff. So, like, that's kind of how I like the first album I bought was Map of the Soul 7. I bought the 4 versions because I had no idea. I was like, "I'll just buy all 4," and I wasn't buying a lot of stuff for K-pop at the time like I do now, so I was like, "Oh, I'll just buy all of these." If anyone knows Map of the Soul 7, it is a
Yeah.
huge album, and
Yeah.
I bought it, and
Actually,
I
wait, I have it right here because
oh,
I was
good.
this is so
Face
big.
to face
Look how big it
comparison.
is, guys. Like, no, it was huge because I use it like it's kind of a coffee table book for me. I liked this bigger album for that reason because like a lot of people don't know what this is and it just looks like a coffee table book.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was a
And
big one.
they can look like that, like a box, they can look just like a book, or they can be in a bag packaging. There's like a variety of other packaging, and now people do really cool like designs and stuff. Key from Shiny, if you want to look up his album like stuff, I can talk about it later, but it is so cool. But the I got Map of the Soul 7, I opened it. I learned later that they were trying to do like an eco-friendly route, which is why it's
Yes,
all like
yes.
paper and nothing's connected and it's like just posters that like fall out and you're like, what the heck is this? And I
Yeah,
had
that
a
was the
photo
worst
card.
one. Yeah, no
Yeah,
shade,
it
but
was like
shade. That was the worst one. I was disappointed with it.
yeah, and which like no one judged me now because this is so cringy for people who collect things. But I took everything out of all of them. I kept one box and I recycled the other 3 boxes because I was like, this is so huge. Where am I going to put this?
See,
so
I'm
my
not that bad. Yeah, I've never gotten rid of any of mine. I just put them in a
yeah, so
drawer.
that will just show people how far I've come. As you can
Yes.
see now, I don't do
Yes.
that anymore. I would literally
Yeah.
never do that now. But I was just like, this is such a big box. Like, what am I gonna do
Yeah.
with this? And I just like threw it away.
And in
So
Meg's defense, like you said, that album was very different. If that was the first K-pop album you got, because they were doing this eco-friendly thing, the printing material was very awkward. The colors weren't vibrant. It was a very awkward K-pop album that I haven't
yeah.
seen really since or before. My first one was BTS Love Yourself Her. And that was
Oh
great.
yeah.
That was then I got the whole Love Yourself series. I was like, all right, like I have to buy this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Um
I'm sorry to interrupt. So what do you do?
oh
You
yeah.
kind of
So
you figure it out and then you decide what you're going for or what you need to complete
so
your collection.
some people will if you're getting into collecting because you want to complete like certain sets. What comes in the album is going to be a random, sometimes there's just one photo card. If the company's nice, they'll give you 2 or 3. If it's JYP with twice, they'll give you 5, which like, but then with like extraordinary heroes, they give you 1. So like it also varies even within like the one company, which is confusing. But in there, you'll get a random photo card. And there's kind of different types of photo cards. And what I'm talking about right now is like album photo cards. So these are, if you want to collect, this is probably like your baseline. You're going to collect, say, I collect Han from Stray Kids. I would want to collect, if I want, at least all of his photo cards. They're in 5 star. There were 3 photo cards per member. You got 2 in each album, but they were random. So you get 2, maybe you get your bias, maybe you don't. And then after that, you're going to need to figure out how to get the rest of them. That's like album inclusions. Then now there are a lot of other photo cards that you can collect. So if you want to go a step past just the album photo cards, now, besides just the physical kind of like photo book album, like the one that Emily has for BTS, they're now, because companies are realizing, oh, we can sell a lot more copies of the album if we do multiple other versions of the album. So, not just like one photo book or not just 3 photo books with 3 different concepts. We can do member versions of the album, which could be a jewel
Yeah.
case, like an actual
Yep.
plastic case. It could be what's called a digipack, which is basically like a paper folded version, similar size to like a CD case. It could be now they're doing SM is doing things called SM minis, which are little keychains that are this big. They look like a really mini CD. They do come with a photo card. All these things come with photo cards.
Okay.
There's
So
things
wait,
called
so on top of like the regular albums, which fans know, like Love Yourself, you wanted to buy enough copies that spelled out LOVE. Like you bought all these different copies of the same album to complete the collection. And there's different concepts, like you were talking about, besides all of that, which can be like 25 different albums. Now they're also selling other things that come with photo cards for the fans need to
Yes.
buy if they want to complete the collection.
Like this is like the SM
Okay.
Mini. This is Jungwoo's SM Mini from AO. So size, this is literally so
Wow.
small. It comes with a little CD, and this is a QR. You can like scan this. So this has the music. This has AO on it, but it's
Okay,
in a
that's cute.
little CD case. So SM does that, and they do member versions. So I have Jungwoo's. But then there are things like this is Anti-Fragile Digipack. It's probably like this is just a smaller version of the album. This is Kazuha's version. They have like regular jewel case, plastic case. This is Chan's No Easy. Now they're also doing, this is from ISTJ. This is a poster version. So this is a folded Jamin poster. The CD's in here. There's another photo card that's in here, plus stickers. They're now, these are like other, Thursday's Child was like, this is Yeonjun's version. It's like a bag. So the
Wow.
whole thing is in there. This is Jung from Zero Base One. That's another digipack. The boys did a DVD version of their recent albums. This is Hyunjae, but it's literally like it's like a DVD case. So all of those are member versions, and then they now have smaller versions, which are called Polka albums or platform albums or whatever, and they're like tinier. And this is from the boys Roar, but it's like has a bunch of concept photos and then a random photo card. So what all the companies are doing basically is like all of these things that I showed come with a photo card, but it's not the same photo card that's in the 3 versions of the regular album. It's another, they're all different. So if
Of
you want to collect
course.
all of them, that is, you would have to buy a bunch more things. And
Yeah.
then those are all still album inclusions. So if you want to collect like just all of Han's photos from, luckily JYP only does member versions and um, the regular album versions. Like
Mhm.
now, Hybe is doing Weverse versions, or there's
Oh
Kinos,
my
which are like little other QR scanner things that SM loves to do. SM loves the Kinos. But besides that, then if you want to collect more things, which like all of this is incentivized by like the cute photos that are on the little photo cards that you get.
God.
And there are varieties of those too. There are obviously the selfie photo cards, which are the ones that everyone wants the most because they're the cutest. They'll take a bunch of different ones, like at the music video set, or like wearing like a silly hat, or like doing all they all do a specific pose. If you have all of them, they're all doing like a cheek heart or whatever.
Okay.
Um, but then there are also concept photos,
Yeah.
which could be random, or they could all like the platform versions. They'll come with like concept photos for everyone, and then a random selfie card. So you will get something, but to
Okay.
people concept photos are just not as sought after just because they're not. I think it's because we feel like obviously the members didn't take the photos. It's just like the company just like pulled a photo and was like, here's like this one photo of
Okay.
Han, even though it's like, and you
So
get it all in like you get, if you buy like a platform, you're gonna get all of like the concept photos, but then you really want the random photo card
So the
usually.
concept photos, those are like the professional photo shoots. Because I will say I buy certain albums based on the concept because I'll look at the pre-release concept pictures and pick my favorite concept and then be like, okay,
Yes,
I want version B. I want this version. But
and
those aren't as exciting.
that's why people
Well,
watch unboxing videos too. Is because you. That's why I started watching them. Is because people post unboxing videos. They buy everything, and then you can see if you only want to buy one version. If you watch the whole way through, you're like, oh, okay, this is the one that I want. So yeah, similar.
that makes sense. And you guys, Meg does unboxing videos. So make sure you follow her
I
YouTube.
do.
They're great. Okay. So now this is making a little more sense to me. So, like the concept photos, those are fine. You're going to get them anyway because you're buying a lot of albums. And they're kind of the boring ones that like basic non collectors have. Collectors want the special ones. You
The
want the ones that
selfie
were
photo
the,
cards
yeah.
everyone
Okay.
wants, and
Okay.
then so far, all of these things I'm saying are at least guaranteed when you buy an album
Mhm.
at any point. Like you could go online right now and buy Map of the Soul 7, and you know you're going to get one, it's going to come with
Yep.
one random photo card of 7, whoever you're going to get. But now, again, And this is all spurred on by the fact that all of us want to buy like the cute photos of the members. That's like why people collect photo cards. Um, Now there are a bunch of other different photo cards that you can get that are not just in the album. So
Okay.
if you're pre-ordering, there are things called pre-order benefit cards. People call them POBs or POBs for short. And those are kind of like how they sound. If you pre-order from JYP's website, or if you
Mhm.
pre-order from, there are like 60 different K-pop stores that are affiliated with these different companies. K-Town for
Okay.
You, Music Plaza, Music Plant, With Mew, like Make Star, all these different companies. If you pre-order, and now in the US, there's Target and Walmart and Barnes and Noble and things.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
pre-order the album from a certain store, and you pre-order in a certain pre-order time frame, you're going to get another like photo card specific to the store that you're buying from, and it's a different photo, completely different. Or actually now people get bothered because they're like, we can tell they all took the photos for like the 10 stores in the exact same place, so the
Yeah, yeah,
photos
yeah.
now, but
Very
it's not the
similar.
member's fault. They have to probably take like 50 selfies every single day. But
Wait,
these are
so
called,
okay. So now you have all of these cards you have to buy to complete your collection. You're going to have to
yes,
buy so much. That's so
yes.
expensive. Is that when you start trading and buying from each other instead of buying more albums?
The way to get a pre-order card is someone has to buy the whole album from a specific store. That's the
Mhm.
only way. And you don't have all of these things. Like no, to anyone who wants to collect, and you're sounding overwhelmed. Like you don't. No one. Everyone chooses kind of like what they want to collect. And I have different things I collect per K-pop idol that I collect. I don't collect all of the exact same things for everyone. Um,
Okay.
but the pre-order benefit cards, and then related to that there are fan sign cards that you get if you join a fan sign, if you're signing up to try to win a video call. If you sign up with that
Wow.
specific company, there's a different card. There's something called lucky draws, which are
Yeah.
all in Korea. You go to the lucky draw, you pay a certain amount of money, you press the little button and a card comes out and it's random. um, there are, if you go to in-person events, if you go to like a concert, if you go to a recording at Inkigayo or something, if
Mhm.
you're the 200 fans that are there, they're going to give you a special photo card. If you buy merch, if you buy a light stick, if you buy a DVD,
Yeah.
if you buy a
Wow.
photo book from like when Stray Kids goes to Jeju, they do a photo book and you get a
Yeah. Yeah.
different photo card. And there are 4 different Hans you could get. So this is how SM does this a lot. SM has so much merch, and every single merch comes with a photo card. So
Mm,
there are a
smart.
bunch of different ways that you can get the photo cards. And obviously you're getting the album with it. You're obviously getting the DVD, you're getting the light
Yeah,
stick
you
with
get
it.
stuff with it.
So you
Yeah.
get stuff with it. But this is how, once you're getting all those things, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm like, I want to collect Sangyeon from the boys, and I want to get a few pre-order benefit cards. Like, how am I going to get those? Especially, I don't have a Korean address. I can't read Korean well enough to like navigate
Yeah.
websites, things like that. Or I don't have a Korean credit, all those things. How am I going to get like some of the stuff that is now just in Korea? That's where there's this whole kind of community on social media. There are
Mhm.
different ways that you can work to get like the cards that you want.
Okay.
And there are ways to trade with other fans, buy from other fans. And then there are also more official websites, eBay. There are a few
Mhm.
Japanese sites that I go on. There's Mercari US, which is just another version of like eBay. There are other websites where people can sell things on there,
Okay.
basically. Um,
Yeah.
and the way that you find the photo card you want, you go on Instagram, everything is via hashtag. So if you search want to buy WTB or WTS want to sell, WTT want to trade, and then it's like want to trade Stray Kids, want to trade the boys, want to trade EXO, whatever. Everyone who has posted things that they are up for trading or selling are going to be using those hashtags, and that's how you find
Okay.
people. And then you can start. talking to people, and then that's how you start getting the photo cards that you want.
Okay. Do you find
Uh,
that like do most fans just trade or are a lot of people in this to make money? Is there a real black market here for making money?
there isn't usually like
Okay.
there are always instances where people are going to like I have been only twice, but I have been scammed out of photo cards before where I send the person money and they never sent it to me. Um and there are ways like and people have other videos about this, so like and if anyone wants to message me and I can like help them for sure. But
Hmm.
there are a lot of ways that you can like verify and make sure the person is, giving you the card that you want. You message them, this is the same thing if someone messages you and they want a card that you want, but you send them a photo of the card with the Instagram handle so they didn't just like pull it off the internet. Then they'll
Yeah.
send a
Yeah.
video of them showing you the card. Then they'll send packing
Okay.
proof. They'll have your address next to the photo card. Then they'll
Okay.
send a video
Yeah.
of them putting it in the mailbox. So at that point, if you don't get it, it might just be that it got lost in the mail. If all those things happen and you still never get it, that is just sometimes that just happens with mail. Usually it doesn't. But I did pay someone once and they just then like never sent it
Okay.
to me. So that was unfortunate. But most people, what you'll find instead of people just like lying and like not having it is more what starts to happen of what people call member pricing. So some people will increase the price of photo cards for members that they know are more popular, let's say,
Hmm. Hmm.
or the card is more sought after. If the member is holding like a really cute, like stuffed animal cards are like a very classic, like for
Hmm.
photo card collectors, like if the person's holding like an item, it's going to cost more, which like doesn't make any sense.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just like because people think it's cuter, or they think it's
Okay.
funny, or like whatever, or like someone has a like Taeyeon from SNSD has some photo cards of like her with her dog, so like that just is going to be
Oh,
more expensive because people are like that's so cool.
yeah.
Like I,
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
yeah,
Didn't Sehun from EXO have photo cards that were just Vivi? I don't even know if he was in them. I think there's photo cards that are just his dog.
yeah. There's a
Amazing.
photo card that I saw recently of Doyoung. I think it's one of the pre-order benefit cards for the NCT 2023, and he's drinking he has a Starbucks cup. He's like drinking a Starbucks, and people are like, "I need this photo card. Like, where is it?" So it's like stuff like that, or they're doing like
Okay.
cat ear pose or whatever. So
Okay.
where it gets a little frustrating is only if people are they're increasing the price because it's like hyunjin instead
Yeah.
of just because if anyone is getting into photo cards and you're trying to buy a regular album card from someone and it's a big group like Stray Kids or 17 or TXT or Twice or like groups that sell so many albums, if it's over like $5, like just don't, it's not worth, don't buy it. Like that it everything should cost like cuz it's coming, the whole album is like what, 25 bucks. So like
Yeah.
the photo card itself, just the regular photo card shouldn't be too expensive. Where it gets expensive is trying to get the pre-order benefit cards because to get the pre-order benefit card, you need to buy a physical album. So essentially, the pre-order card is the cost of like an entire album
Hmm.
because the only reason you get the pre-order card is by buying the album. So
Yeah.
there are now people online that are called group order managers, and they will make a group order. They'll post like, "Hi everyone, I want to buy from these 5 stores for Stray Kids. I'm going to buy 3 sets of albums. So I have 3 slots for every single member. Comment below which member you want. I'm going to buy 3 albums. I'm going to buy 24 albums, 3 per member." And usually,
Okay.
since there are 8 members of Stray Kids, if you buy 8 albums from with me, you're assuming you're going to get all of the members because you're buying 8 albums. There are eight
Okay.
members, so 8 pre-order
Okay.
cards should come. Unless the company is being terrible, they should send you
Yeah.
every single member. Um, if you just buy 2, like you don't know whose pre-order benefit card you're going to get because you just bought 2, and they're just going to give you 2 pre-order cards. You can't write to them and be like, "Hi, please give me Han," because like that's just
Totally.
impossible.
So when
Um,
that happens, are you guys all chipping in? That person's the one
yes.
ordering it, but you're okay. Okay,
Everyone
that makes
sends
sense.
money and you do split the shipping
Okay.
cost. And the reason group order managers do things like this, besides them being like, I know I want all the pre order cards, if I had to guarantee I'm going to get Han, I need to buy 8 albums per store, which is crazy. So they're like, let's get 7 other people who all want different members. We can all
Yeah.
split the shipping
Okay.
cost. We can all get the cards.
Oh,
If it's a lucky draw, you can't guarantee you're going to get the members, so you still pay them. You're going to get a card. Hopefully it's the member you want, but then otherwise then you could trade it or you could buy it later.
wow.
But that's where group order managers come in. And group order managers are
Wow.
such saints. Like, some people are like slightly irresponsible, but if you find like good ones, they're just the most organized people that you have ever met. And they will sort the albums. They're like, what inclusions do you want? I'll try to make sure you get all the inclusions you want. Like, do you want the physical
That's so
album?
nice.
I'll just send you like
It's
just the photo card.
That's so
Yeah.
nice. It's just like such a reminder. K-pop fans are amazing. The K-pop community is so amazing. I think I know personally sometimes I get turned off because I'll be on like Twitter all day and see all these fights and fan wars. And then you go to a concert and everyone around you is so sweet. People hand you out bracelets and freebies. There's people doing this, going to the extra effort to do this.
Yes.
It, I'm sorry, but K-pop fans are the best. K-pop is
Yes.
such a special world. Like that's
It
I
like
was not expecting that. I thought that that person would end up charging a premium to everyone else because they're taking the time to actually do the
they
order.
if they're doing that, it's like so few and far between. Like, all the people I've worked with, like,
Mhm.
they're doing it because they want some of the things too. So it's
Yeah,
more of like a, to make it easier for everyone, let's like, and I would not choose to do that because I don't think I do a terrible job, but I just don't think that's like my strong suit. Um, but if you find like an organized person who does group orders, then like I buy from the same person every time when I join their group orders all the time. So I'm like, I know that they are
that's
like
really cool.
responsible. But it's
That's
also
so cool.
so funny, like in the group chats, like especially
Yeah.
for, here's the other thing that you can do to go on like another like photocard tangent is like, let's say like for me, I collect for Han, I collect OT8 Stray Kids, which means from No Easy onward, I collect all of the 8 members' album photo cards. But for
Okay.
Han, I collect all of the pre-order cards for him. I only do that with Han and then with Sangyun from the boys. All the
Okay.
other people I collect, like I'll just collect their album cards, and then if I want to buy like random pre-order cards, if I see them and I think they're cute, then I would buy them.
Okay.
But for nowadays, like there are like fifth at the end of each era, like I think I have bought for a 5 star, I think I've bought like 50 pre-order cards from Han. Pre-order or fan sign or lucky draw cards, because there are multiple rounds from the same
Wait,
store.
just
They'll
for
be like,
people that might not be familiar, because I feel like some people
oh
watching
yeah,
and listening may not be K-pop fans, and this is like a foreign language. She's talking about for one release, one album,
one release.
like one release, 5 star with Stray Kids' latest comeback. That's what we call them in K-pop world. Like a new release is called a comeback. For one album, just for pre-order, not the actual album photo cards, you bought 50 different Hans.
Yes. Yes. And that's not even like an NCT. No, let's say, I would say the groups that have the most pre-order cards that I've seen, ITZY do so many.
That's great.
ATs, like, God bless the people that collect ATs pre-order cards, because like genuinely there are like 75 for like every era.
Oh
And
my
it does, I
God.
will say, it's getting like, because like I said earlier, like this is, the companies have realized this is the way we can make money. We can sell more
Yes.
albums, because
Yes.
I I effectively have bought like 75 albums, because I bought like 15, because that's how you can pull more photo cards in
Wait,
the album if
of
I
the
want to
same
collect
release
like,
or like in total? I'm sorry, of the same release. I would, because when you said 75, I thought you just meant in your whole collection of K-pop albums, you've bought 75. Do you mean
no.
like 15 of the same album?
For 5 star, I bought 8 from the JYP website, because it was the signed postcard. So if I bought 8, I can try to trade to get all of the 8 signatures. I bought 8 from Target because I wanted to collect the Target pre-order cards, and then I ended up buying like a few other ones because I was like, well, I'll just like whatever, I'll buy these up. And it's all like, the reason is to pull like more of the photo cards, because all of it's
Got
random
it.
inside. So if you
Yeah,
want to collect a whole group, the likelihood, you're better off buying a lot of albums to start off with, see how many photo
yeah.
cards you pull, and then you could trade for the rest of them. I will say now Instagram has changed their search field. So they do not show recent posts anymore. They only show the most popular posts. So it's
So
really
annoying.
hard for people to trade now. People are really struggling because you can only find people who are like really popular accounts, which is like crazy because people that are regular like us, everyone wants to trade
Yeah.
things. We just can't get to the
Yeah.
people. But like, since I bought all of Han's pre order cards, to get a pre order card, you buy an album. So I don't have them, but my group order manager has like 600 albums because they bought for all of us for like all of the different sites.
It's
So she's just
it's
sorting them right now. But
wow.
for yeah, and this is where I was going with this. This group order manager, for an example, for Stray Kids, and this has already started to be talked about because people are assuming Stray Kids is going to have a release by the end of the
Yes.
year, is if you want, and this is only if you have to know that you have to be committed to spending a certain amount of money, you have to know that you want to get at least most of the pre-order card benefits, but you can join a fixed claim or fixed slot group order. So this recent 5 star, this is how I got all of these, is because my friend was like, I am going to buy from every single store that has a pre-order or a fan sign or a lucky draw. And if you sign up and you want to reserve early, that you want to collect all of Han's photo cards, your name is going to be down. I'm just going to buy from every store for everyone. And you have to buy, like, you have to be buying everything because otherwise, they're out of money if they end up buying more albums than they
Yeah.
have joiners for. But I joined a fixed slot for Han. I joined it for Sangyeon for Last Comeback, and I joined it for Han for like the upcoming comeback that hasn't even happened yet. But if you're joining, like, the group order manager is basically just going to be like, I'm not even asking anyone. I'm going to buy it whenever something's released. I'm going to buy 8 more albums. And then on this date, you're going to Venmo me. And that's just like how it works. But you
Wow.
guarantee that
Yeah.
you're going to get
You're gonna
all of
get him.
Han's. And that's
Okay.
like, especially if you're someone who collects, and it's like I said earlier, this shouldn't happen. Like, all of the members should cost the same amount. We all love all of the members, but there are members who have more
Yeah.
fans or more
Definitely.
people who bias certain
Oh,
members.
definitely.
If you want
Yeah.
to collect that member, it's going to be harder for you to get the pre-order card because more people are going to want to buy the pre-order card. So if you join a fixed slot, your name is down for Hyunjin, there's no question you're going to get
Interesting.
Hyunjin. It's like, unless the store messes up, which at that point it's not the group order manager's fault, but that's what fixed claims are for. So you just like, and the group order managers do a lot of work, but on your end, you're just like, okay, I just have to Venmo them whenever they buy something else, and then it's guaranteed that I'm going to get the photo card I want.
This is intense. This is like
It's
a
a
whole
world.
other,
It's an industry.
it's
Yeah.
an industry, and it also speaks to like why K-pop is so profitable. It's what you said. I mean, we know album sales are huge, but it's on top of like passionate fans like me who of course go buy every album even though I listen on Spotify because I want to support them.
Yes.
This, you have people buying 50 albums. Like,
Yeah.
it's a, it's insane. It's genius marketing. It's genius marketing, really
Yes.
smart by the companies. And it sounds like it's fun when you're a collector too. I mean, I can
It's
understand
like,
kind of much of it and the joy it brings you.
it's super fun. It's also, to people who are listening who like don't do this or who just stumbled upon this podcast, like, I know we all sound like we're crazy, and it is getting a little bit crazy. Partially, it's the companies who are realizing, oh, like, if
Yeah.
we can put this much
Exploit.
out and someone's gonna buy it, like, I mean, let's just be honest, that's what they're gonna do. And we are buying it. Like, it's not like I'm being forced to spend my money, but it is really fun. You like meet a lot of people through it. It's just like fun. Like, people spend their money on whatever they want to spend it on. Everyone has their thing that they like choose to buy. And that's like the thing that I basically choose to buy. And you know, if I 20 years, I'm gonna have all these random pieces of paper, but it was worth it in the end.
And to be worth something. Maybe they won't be, but the thing is, like, it's not anything new. People have been collecting things forever. People collect stamps, baseball cards. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
anything new. It's just around K-pop, which some
Pokemon.
people might look down on because, there's such a stigma with female fans and boy groups and all of that stuff. But yeah, I don't think it's like totally crazy at all because people are collectors. People collect all different types of comic books, like figurines. Like, it's
Yeah.
collect all different stuff. I just find it fascinating because it's a huge part of K-pop fandom. that I've never totally understood. So I'm like, Meg, I need to talk to you about this. I
Yeah,
want
I
to
hope
know.
that like made sense. I
Oh my God,
like
yeah.
there's so many layers, but like
There's so many layers, but like I feel like somebody that didn't understand a lot of this. Now I have a much better feel of the process and the different cards and why they're valued the way they are. But speaking
yeah.
of value, like which card do you currently own that you would say is your prized card? Like
Oh yeah.
this is your pride and joy. This is the one.
My pride and joy, and I can tell like the story of how I got this, but I'm gonna pull it up now. I have it in like a really cute top loader, but my pride and joy is this signed Han photo card. I'm gonna take it out of the top loader. I bought this top loader from someone, but
Okay.
this is from Accident. They did random member signed photo cards if you bought from the JYP store and pre-ordered. And I bought three um albums, and I have the other two. I got Chen and I got two Jongins. Two Jongins or two Chans? I got two Chans and one IN. And I was like, okay, like I need to get Hans. Like this is they signed it themselves. Like, that is like one of the coolest things that I own. And Han is getting to be a pretty popular member of Stray Kids, which is great for him, but a lot of people
But
wanted
not for
this photo
you.
card. Yeah, and he
Not
looks
for you.
absolutely so cute in this photo card too. And this is a random regular album photo card. So like
Okay.
it just happened that they signed this version, but like this also is just the regular photo card you'd get in the album. It's just that from the specific store they signed one of them. Um, and I was looking for a trade for months, and I ended up finding someone who is in Jordan, like this, like the country of Jordan, and they messaged me, they saw my post and they were like, "Hi, like do you mind if it's cuz some people don't want to trade internationally or sell
Yeah.
internationally,
Yeah.
or and also it's more expensive to ship things, even if it's a envelope, it costs more to trade and things in different countries." And they were like, "I would like your channel, I have Han for you." And I was like, "I need to whatever it takes, I'm going to get this." And they had like a USPO box, so I first didn't know they were from a different country because I was going to ship it to their like PO box that's in New York, and then they were going to get it to them. But then for them to ship it to me, I had to pay obviously for the shipping, because if you're trading, you both know that you're going to be like, in theory we were trading the same exact thing, but because like it was coming from farther away, they're not going to pay more. Like I'm the one who's receiving
Totally.
it.
You have to
So
pay it. Yeah.
I had to like this photo card itself, like it just cost how much the album cost from JYP, which was like $28 or whatever. But I think I probably paid in shipping like 30 something dollars to get the card.
Okay.
Um, which I will say that is not too much for a photo card. People do spend much more money on photo cards, especially super rare cards. Or there's a card that like, only 100 people, if you go to a very specific event, at that one event you'll get a photo card and people will then sell it. There's only 100 in the entire
Okay.
world, so obviously that's just how supply and demand is. I've seen like articles people buying, especially like Jaehyun from NCT, like
Yeah.
someone has bought a photo card of his for like $500. So like
Weren't there ones? I remember this a few years ago. There were like, I think it was Taeyong and Jungkook on eBay for like thousands.
yeah, and those are like just very specific. It's like they only made 50 and it was in
Okay.
2015. So now if you want to buy that, it's just going to
Got
cost you
it.
like a lot of money. Um and it's just like, like some of it, it's just kind of how much everyone is willing to pay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to sell
The
for.
market kind of
And
like dictates the price, right? So
yes,
if
yeah,
people are
yeah.
willing to pay, then it's going
And
to go
there
up.
are like also a cool thing that like the companies don't do this as much anymore, but there are real Polaroids that members take and they just get put into like 10 albums that are
That's so
sold of
cool.
the like million or whatever. And you could open it and you could get like a real Polaroid, like the
That's
member
like,
actually took it. And
it's
people
like Willy
have
Wonka.
those.
It's like getting the golden ticket. Like,
Yeah. I have seen a video of someone pulling that, and obviously they were like so pumped. But those, if people are showing like, room tours, shelf tours, tours of like their photo cards, they'll usually turn it around because they don't want people to be like replicating the exact photo. So people will
Interesting.
really prize Polaroids. I don't have any. Someone actually recently reached out to me because they know I collect Sangyeon, and they were like, I'm getting rid of my Sangyeon collection and I have some of his real Polaroids, like if you want them. And I haven't decided if I'm going to get them yet.
Are you specifically looking for any card right now? Is there a card that you're looking for that you haven't been able to find?
I have a few. A few of them, some I'm just looking for, like I have seen them before. I just haven't. All of these I would purchase because I don't have something equivalent that I could trade for. But a few of like older Han kind of like merchandise cards, like they did like a sponsorship with Clio, that like makeup brand, like a few years ago. There are a
Oh,
few
I
photo
remember.
cards.
I remember that clearly because it was when I get so emotional. It was when Hyunjin was on his hiatus,
Oh,
unfair,
was it?
and Cleo
Oh.
like didn't include him in the ads and stuff, and it was so rude because he was
Oh
just on a
yeah.
short hiatus. Everyone, he wasn't out of the group. So I remember the Cleo catastrophe very
Yeah.
well.
There are 3 there are 3 photo cards you could get for that, and I have one of the Hans. The other ones are more expensive. It must have been that it was like something more expensive you had to buy to get the photo card or something. But that's one of the ones I'm looking for. That's like easy. It's not super hard for me to find those. But one of the things that I am trying to find, which I think I have decided I'm probably not going to get because I think it'll just be too expensive, but a store that people buy albums from called MakeStar, they do holographic pre-order cards usually. So the card will have that little rainbow like hollow look to it, and people think that's very cute. Those are usually just like sought after because they look like that. And there is a Maxident Makestar card of Han that like it's like $80. So I would need to decide to buy that amount of money, and I have just decided there's other things that I could do instead. So I have not bought that yet.
This
That one I
K-pop
might.
is like so expensive already. K-pop is so
Yeah.
expensive. Like
Yeah.
before you start collecting cards, it's expensive. So I understand having to think about an $80 card because you've already bought so many albums that
Yeah.
there's some pros and cons there.
Yeah. I'm looking for like a few ATs. Like ATs did a lot of pre-order cards in like US shops, and I bought 2 albums because I collect Wooyoung and San, and I was like, I'll just trade like the benefit card for whoever else. And I have not found trades for those. And those ATs, some of the cards get expensive, especially San, which is unfortunate. People love San and Songhwa. But um, those I'm looking for. I'm trying to back collect like a few different members too. So like those are just regular album cards, but those you just have to search for a little bit more. And it's not always hard to find. It's just that you have to do like you just
Do
have to
the
do a little
legwork.
bit of digging. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So anyone that's watching or listening, if you have any of those cards, reach out. Meg socials are
Reach
listed
out.
right there. Like,
I have a
please reach
like
out.
yeah, yeah. I will like some of these cards, like the 80s ones, like people could find trades for those. The Han Mankstar, I've decided like that's just like my, and it's almost because like it's just the one that I don't have from that era. So it's not even that much of a different photo. It's just the idea that I could just like finish that 9 pocket page and just like put it in and then it would be like done. But
It's part of the
yeah,
collection. To finish your collection. I think I get
yeah,
it now. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That makes
Um
sense.
I do have, though, for the visual viewers,
Yes.
some
Yes.
of my favorite cards. Actually, another one of these cards that I do, oh, I actually have a few. One of the ones that I do prize a lot that actually is could be expensive, and the only reason I got this for like not as expensive is because the person said it was slightly damaged, and I do not see any damage on this, so they just it must have been like
That's
slightly
amazing.
crinkled. But this uh go live. There was a go live pre-order benefit card, and this is Hans. He's doing like a little cheek pull. And these, since they were pre-order cards, but they were from like 2020, are pretty expensive. I got this for I think $35, and that felt like was actually kind of a deal because all the other ones I saw were like 70. So that Han card, those pre-order cards from like early, like because earlier they only did like 2 pre-order cards because the companies didn't know that like
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
wants to buy like
Exactly.
um but a few other Hans that I have. This IMU, these IMU cards, the pink border IMU, for some reason it's just like some cards just don't exist online. Like you look and you're just like, did they print less of this card? Does no one get rid of it? Like, where is it? And it's always like a joke for collectors that like you search for like 2 years, you find it's kind of expensive, and you're like, I have to buy it because I haven't seen it in. And then like after you see it everywhere, and you're like,
Yeah.
why did I like? How did that happen? But like that card, like should not. It's like a regular album card from IMU. Like they sell so many IMU albums. Like that should not have
Yeah.
been hard to find, but it was
Yeah.
very hard to find. Um, I have a Yang Yang card. This is from Takeoff. Wait, is it called Takeoff? Yeah, the first mini album.
Yes, I remember Takeoff.
And
Wavy.
Takeoff,
Yes.
Yang Yang, I collect Yang Yang from Wavy as one of my NCT members that I collect. And this album was only sold in China. So this
Mm.
is a regular album card, but it was released like 4 years ago. And the only way
Mhm.
people got it was from buying it from China, which is like, pretty difficult. And I got
Yeah.
this card for a regular, someone sold it for like $5. And I was like,
Sold. Done.
I like the way I like ran to them. I was like, "Is it still available? Like, please, I will buy it." So I love that card a lot. Um, the other like random cards I have that are just like cards that I really like that are not even like my biases that I collect, but like this Kihyun, the toast card from Voyager from his jewel case.
Mhm.
I pulled
Mhm.
this and I was so happy because this is an example of a card that would be expensive because he has toast in his mouth. So for
Yeah.
some reason, bread cards, holding bread, idols do that a lot, and then it just like ups the charge of the card because people are like, "This is so cute, like I want it." Um,
It's just so funny and random because when I get those cards, I'm like, "That's funny." Anyway, it's back in the drawer. Like,
I know,
I would
yeah,
never
it's
think
just
that
like
that's where it's
I know.
interesting.
I have this like Sonu card from Roar. He's wearing a crown. This was
Mm.
from like the platform version, and I love just that he's wearing a crown. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I
Um,
liked that concept.
I loved that Roar concept.
It was
I
great.
have a Myungo from 17 FML card, and he has a calculator and has eights all over it. Anytime the eight does a photo card with eights, people go crazy for that. I
Skyrockets.
pulled that card. I was so excited. Um,
That's
this
so
Sangyun
cute.
card, this is a Make Star pre-order card, and he's doing a cheek cart. He just looks so cute. That's one of my favorite Sangyuns. Um, and then last card I have is this Songhua, who just from Halazia, he is doing a
Mm,
little Horanghe, and like
I love it.
everyone wants this card, and I will never get rid of it because I'm like, no, I pulled it, like it's amazing.
Yes. And that's
Um,
like that is that pose. See, I get that because when they do that pose, that's the cutest thing ever. Like Hoshi's my
see,
bias from
that's
17, so he's always doing it. It's so cute. It's so
yeah,
cute.
that's what it is. It's just like they look they look so cute. It's funny because there are some idols that like fans like kind of make fun of in like a joking way, who you can tell like are just taking the photos just because they're like, I need
They
to
have
take the
to.
selfie.
Yeah.
Jaehyun, Jaehyun from NCT, Vernon from 17. They are really famous for just like straight shots and just like they move the camera like five different angles and then it's literally the exact same photo. And like people have like thousands of cards of like Jaehyun doing the exact same face. And it's
Yeah.
almost now like people buy it because they're like, it's iconic. Like he doesn't care. And that's why I want it? So
That makes sense though. And I think honestly, that would be my biggest nightmare. Like, I would hate taking selfies and doing the poses. Mine would be the same. It'd be the same angle, it'd be the same face. And then yeah, every once in a while it's like, here's some bread. I
yeah.
I don't know how they do it. Part of an idol's
Yeah.
job is taking a million selfies a day.
I
Um,
know. Yeah.
like they literally do that when you watch like the trainees and stuff. That's part of the training is you have to take selfies and send them to management every day. Oh, it's brutal
Yeah.
out there. It's
I
brutal.
know. And then we just have
Um,
little pieces of paper with all of their selfies on it.
you know what though? That this was like super informative. So thank you, Meg. And I
Oh,
hope that like
sure.
our listeners and our viewers learned a lot because, like I said, in K-pop, there's so many different aspects of fandom. Not everyone collects, but a lot of people do. So for those of us that don't, now I understand it more and I get why it's exciting. And I'm also just like fascinated at the ones that go higher and why, because I never understood that. I came into this conversation like, oh, he looks hot in a suit. I bet this is expensive. No, that would be a boring like album one that would go for nothing. But the
Yeah.
guy holding a piece of bread is like, the be
Yeah,
all end
no,
all.
that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Um, it's a wild world. Yeah. But
I love it. If you guys want to get into collecting, if you have one of the cards Meg mentioned, DM her, slide into the DMs, reach out. All of her info is listed in the description. Um, Clearly, she's a pro at this. So thank you, Meg, for sharing. Thank you for showing those cards too. That was great.
oh, sure. Yeah, that's why everyone you got to go watch the video version because then you'll see the cards.
Exactly. Exactly. Video. It's so crazy to have like a video podcast now. This was the perfect first episode because we have the cards.
Visuals. Yeah.
Visuals. People like visuals. Who knew? They're spending like $1 million on photo cards. I guess you need a visual podcast these days. It makes
Yeah.
sense. I want to ask you a quick question about dance challenges because I thought it was really interesting that Yeonjun from T by T, he recently said that he hates them. They used to be fun, and now it's become a competition. And coming into this tonight, I was going to be like, "Who's your favorite?" The Smoke You Dance Challenge, which I'm like obsessed with, by the way. And I was going to do this whole thing where I'm like, "Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite?" And then I thought, yeah, he kind of has a point.
Yeonjun you thought about Yeonjun and you were like, "Oh no."
I did. I was like, Yunshin's right though, because like it's fun. And then you have fans turning it into a competition because I saw a lot of people being like, well, that's how you know BTS are better dancers because they're no. But I just want to like ask you off the top of your head if you have a favorite from that challenge.
I there's one that's escaping me. It's gonna bother me later, but I will. But the one that's coming to mind right now is the one that Hoshi and DK from 17 did
Yeah.
because, like, I mean, Hoshi we expect. I mean, they're all of 17's great dancers, but I remember it was just such a funny internet moment because everyone thought that it was probably Mingyu because he was so huge and his
DK has
arms are
been at the
massive.
gym. You guys,
Yeah,
DK has been at the gym. DK, if you don't know, he's naturally slender. No, DK, yes. It took me a second too. I'm like, who is that? Is that
yeah,
Mingyu?
and
Like,
like
who is
it's
that?
fun to see DK being like a
Yeah.
little like sexy and like
Oh,
more intense
yeah.
because he's such a comedic like feature of 17 and that's like one of the reasons why we love him, but like him being like the actual like smoke challenge, I was like, "Oh, okay."
And the
Like
smoke
that
challenge
was
is like swaggy and sexy. Like, there's a couple
yeah.
parts where, yes, I'm going to watch every idol I have a crush on do that because, ooh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Um,
What
I
about
love
you?
that one. I love Ace.
Thank you. That was the one. That was the
Meg.
one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Meg. Like, first of all, if you guys don't know who they are, go look them up. They're the most underrated K pop group.
Yes.
A lot of them are back from the military. We're not all back together quite yet, but we have three that
Soon.
have been doing a lot of content, and theirs is fantastic. They kill it.
Did you see their baggy jeans one too?
Yes, of course. Yes, obviously. This is this is all I do with my time. It's so funny because like the amount of times I tell people I'm busy, I have plans. Oh, I'm so busy today. This is what I'm doing. It's like, well, I better check. Let me open Instagram. There's a lot of dance challenges out there I need to watch. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so happy they're back and watching them
Me too.
dance. It's so enjoyable. I also will say, Intak from P1 Harmony killed it. He is so swaggy and cool. I loved his like
He's my P1 bias. So,
oh,
yeah.
1,000,000%. You know how when you like you have a bias, then you see them in concert and sometimes it changes the first time you see a group in person. No, when I saw P1 Harmony in person, it was just like cemented in my heart. Like he is the one. He's so great.
He's so
And I
great. Yeah.
liked I liked Tay from BTS. I think he's
Yeah.
such an underrated dancer. And when you have one that's not just technical steps, but you need to have a little groove, he always kills it. So those are my not ranking and not fan war, just our
Don't worry,
favorites.
Yeonjun.
We,
Don't
we
worry.
love
And
you.
Yeonjun, yours was good too. Don't worry.
And shout out to Yeonjun for his sexy dancing with Anita at the VMAs.
No, also, yes, and shout out to him in their TikTok he did with their
Yeah.
dance, like that other. I'm sorry, I don't know who that woman is, but like the in the practice room like version, he did one, and then Huening Kai did it with another dancer. Yeonjun's was
No,
So
he's
good.
sexy. He
Yeah.
brings a very like sexual vibe that a lot of idols don't bring. And I've got to say, I loved that. I think because I'm obviously not going to review it. This is the first episode, but I love that collaboration with Anita. I think TYT's done some collaborations I haven't been a fan of. I feel bad for them because I feel like their label forces collaborations on them now 24/7 that sometimes don't make sense and don't work. I love this song. I loved the
It is
performance. It's
so
great.
good.
It's
So
great.
good.
So I'm wishing them like so much success with it. But yeah, I was just watching him with Anita and I was like, oof. And Anita too, like, stop being so pretty. I've had it. Like, God, like
She's so hot. Yeah.
she's her body is insane. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, this girl, wow. They were a very attractive collaboration
They
there with
were.
T by T and
Yeah.
Anita. So shout out to them.
Also, shout out to Bomgyu. Bomgyu's voice is one of my favorite like male voices in K-pop. It is such an underrated, low, just like husky
Yeah.
voice. And he finally got, I feel like they don't
Yeah.
always, he's kind of in the back. Like he and Subin kind of are like have slightly like different line distribution than I feel like the other three guys sometimes. And I
Mm-hmm.
love Bomgyu's voice. And he had that beginning moment when the VMAs started and he
Yeah.
was first. I texted, my mom was watching and she loves TXT and we were like, Bomgyu? Like,
So cute.
so
So cute.
I'm so proud of Bomgyu, I just have to say. Like,
Well, I do feel like, and this is obviously my bias, but my bias in that group is Subin, and he is my wrecker. And I feel like they're kind of super good looking, but don't get to shine as much. Um, so yeah, if I was the creative director of those performances, guess who would be front and center?
yeah,
Those two. Like it's
yeah.
time for more shine for those guys. Okay, let's get into some news. K-pop, there's always so much going on, so I'm going to quickly go through what's happening this week. All 7 members of BTS have re-signed with Hybe. That's massive. At this level, it's hard to keep groups together, keep everyone signed to the same label. But it's official. So the plan is they're coming back in 2025. So that means everyone's going to be enlisted and out of the army by some point in 2025. I think that's very smart. I would enlist my groups together. A year and a half goes quick, and then have them all come back together. They're not necessarily doing that, but they're at least not waiting and stretching out subunits and everything else. So that's exciting. Um, Another group that has contract stuff happening is Blackpink. And of all 4 of the members, only Rose has re signed with YG. So there's a lot of speculation. Nothing has been confirmed. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict this right now. I'm going to guess that Lisa signs with CAA here in the States. They have a new owner. That's all I'm going to say. I have a real strong hunch that Lisa is going to sign with CAA. Kingdom's agency, GF Entertainment, apologized for the artwork on their new album. There was a lot of uproar this week that the artwork on the album kind of too closely resembled the Quran, a holy document. So Kingdom's agency, they heard the fans and they apologized and they're reprinting all the albums. That's pretty cool because they're not one of the giant agencies that has tons of money.
It's a lot
So
of
I feel
money. Yeah.
right. I feel like to do that, that's a lot. So kudos to them. Back to Jungkook. We've talked about Jungkook a lot today. That was also my original bias, and Meg mentioned it was her first alt, so kind of makes sense for the first episode. Jungkook, he's dropping a new single this week on Friday with Jack Harlow. I'm excited about this one. Again, he's collabing now with Western artists. I have a lot of opinions. I'll get into that on a future episode. I'm going to be reviewing this next week. Interested. But the thing that stood out to me the most on this announcement was there was something in the wording, and now I can't remember, but it was like an even more mature side.
Oh yeah.
What? Like
Yeah.
Seven, the whole song about Seven is just literally about having sex every night. And he literally says, I'll be effing you right, effing you every night. What is more mature? Where are we going with this, Meg? I'm a little like,
I know.
little.
I have no idea. Maybe it's like more sensual, like
I don't.
more I don't know, like mature is maybe different than like the
No,
explicit version of 7, maybe? I don't know
but
who
Jack
Jack
Harlow,
I I don't
he's a
know what anything
rapper.
about Jack Harlow. I don't know
And
anything
he's
about him.
a rapper. So like I'm not
Oh,
expecting like emotional maturity. I'm expecting a filth. We will see. But again, I think it's so funny of all
dear.
the BTS members that Jungkook is the one doing like the filthy songs. Cause like you guys, he can't even make eye contact with girls most of the time. Like it's just funny.
It is.
So yeah, get ready for next week. Gonna give you my thoughts on that. UK fans, listeners and viewers in the UK, get ready for Korea on Stage in London this November. New festival. The acts include ATEEZ, Stacey, P1 Harmony, Zykers, Extraordinary Heroes, Boy Next Door. They've got a great lineup. So there's been some issues recently with festivals canceling and problems. Hopefully this one goes off without a hitch because that's a good lineup.
That is
Um,
great.
it's almost October. I can't believe it. That means award season is around the corner. And this year's Mamas will be held at the Tokyo Dome November 28th and 29th. Get ready. Oh, end of year is so chaotic in K-pop. I feel like it's just like
I'm
you just get like
scared.
attacked. You just get attacked. And it's like for us in America, we have, you've got Thanksgiving and then you have Christmas and you have all these like holiday parties. And for K-pop fans, it's like nonstop voting, a million award shows to keep track of and watch the performances. And it's a lot. I prepare now, everybody, because it's coming. Um,
And the October comebacks, because everyone tries to get their comeback in right before the end of
for
the year.
mamas.
Yeah, October is gonna be like October and November are gonna be crazy.
Slammed. I mean, just think about like 17 T by T Stray Kids, like slammed,
Yeah.
slammed. Perfect time for me to come back. I've got a lot of reviews on the way. Zero Base One, ZB1, who Meg and I just saw at KCON, November comeback. Cannot wait for that. You converted me. I love these guys. I'm rooting for them. I'm so obsessed with Rise still. Like these newer, I don't know if we're technically calling them fifth generation, but I love these younger boy groups. The future of K-pop feels pretty bright. Um, Now I've got to go to something a little more negative. Rowoon from SF9, he is gone. He's
Uh,
taking a long break, I guess, or kind of gone. The announcement to me felt like he was leaving for good.
I thought they said he was not gonna resign. I don't
Yeah,
know if that
he's
was
gone.
yeah.
Yeah, he's gone. They just didn't say he left the group. They said stopping activities. But like he
Uh,
left the group. And
I mean,
I
he did so
love
much
that group.
acting.
And
Like
that's
he's
it.
doing so
He did
much.
so much acting. He's going to make more money acting. Unfortunately, that group hasn't taken off and gotten to where they should be. I love them.
They're so
Um
good.
they're so good. So it kind of made sense, but it's still sad because, he's a great member in that group. That's all
Yeah,
I've
I was
got for
sad.
this. Mhm.
Like, I was sad too because, like, I know he also has a lot of back problems and like other
Yeah.
injuries and stuff. So even when they were doing, um,
Kingdom.
yeah, Kingdom, he wasn't in a lot of the performances. And
Yep.
then in Puzzle earlier this year, he doesn't do like almost any of the choreo. He just like comes in, sings his part, and leaves. And I know he is such a successful actor, but they're in their military era anyway. Like it's gonna be a while
No.
before you have to
I
have a
know.
full group come back. Like just come in and sing the song, and then like be with your pals, and then go and do your drama. I know it's not that easy. I'm just like, can you still like
I know. I
get
know.
it
For
in? You
fans, it's
know?
like you don't have to officially leave. Just like still be in the group, but just don't be active. Like
Yeah,
just be busy and then show up every once in a while.
yeah.
I fell
Oh.
in love with that group during Kingdom. Like, oh my God. I was like, who are these tall, like supermodels? I couldn't believe that I had never heard of them. I couldn't believe how much I loved them. I was like, this is like the most attractive group ever. And I never even heard of them. And they're
Who's your
phenomenal.
who's your bias again? I have a guess, but who is it?
For whatever reason, yeah, when I watched them, I liked Jaehoon. I was like, "Ooh, he's cute." And then I like
Yeah, I
Hui
forgot
Young.
you did.
I
Oh,
like
yeah,
Hui. Yeah, he's
Young.
hot. But pretty much like the ugliest person in that group, I would be lucky to have like a hello with. Like they're all
Yeah.
super, super. Who's your bias in SF9?
My bias is Zuho. My
Oh, I love
bias
Suho.
was first Youngbin, who's the leader, who's in the military, and Chani, and then because I love like this either like the small ones or like the introverted ones or like the ones that are deep rapper voices. And I first thought I was not watching Zuho at first, and all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, Zuho's raps are like
Yeah,
pretty like intense, like in a great way.
I love that you're like, I like the small ones, the shy ones. And then what did you say about me? You're like, you like the ones that think they're hot and they're all
Yeah,
like sexy.
yeah,
And I usually like the center. I like the lead. Like, yes, I like the guy that's like like he's the shit and he knows it in the group. That's
yeah. Like the guy that's
usually.
like sitting in the corner who like you don't know is there.
But interestingly, when I started liking Stray Kids, Chan was my bias. I loved him from the very beginning because like everything I watched, I was like, this guy has the best personality. And then I realized Hyunjin was my bias when he went on hiatus, and I had a breakdown about it every week on the show. I was so upset and obsessed. And then my old partner called me out. I was like, you're obsessed with this guy. I was like, oh, I guess so. And yeah, now I haven't gone back. But it's
Yeah.
interesting because I didn't go for him at the beginning. It took me
Yeah, we all grow and like learn and find our loves of our lives.
the loves of our life. Yes, seriously, the love of my life. There's about 10 of them, K-pop boys, and then my dog Freddie. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, that's all I've got for news this week. Next week, it's going to be a review show. So it won't be all video, but there will be some fun video content, some short form stuff on Reels and TikTok and all that fun stuff. I'm going to talk about Jungkook, thoughts on this song with Jack Harlow, Kepler, One Us, and maybe some other new releases, maybe some fun stuff. So please make sure you tune in.
One
This is a
Us.
week. I know,
One Us
right?
video. It's so good. Everyone
I
go
know.
watch Lido in the video.
One Us just dropped today. We're recording this on Tuesday. So I'm going to give you my full review next week of them. This is a weekly podcast. If you like what you heard, if you like what you saw, please come back. New episodes drop every Friday. Hopefully, I'll be here for a while. The last podcast lasted 3 years. Let's see if we can keep this one going longer. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you love New York City K-pop queens, a lot of that stuff's going to be in here. But as you saw tonight, it's a different show. There's going to be amazing guests. It's going to be really a fun time. So I'm so grateful to have you all here with me for this next step in the K-pop journey. Um, yeah, make sure you're following on social media. Don't worry, there's going to be a Discord. I'm going to get a Patreon up. It's all about community. And I want to make sure you all have a chance to make friends. As we talked about making friends in K pop, I want to facilitate that as much as I can because I started this podcast for that reason. There's a lot of people who don't have anyone to talk to about this. And when you hear people talking about it and you smile and laugh and think, like, yeah, I think the same thing, or maybe not. What is she talking about? This song's better. There's just something, a feeling of belonging when somebody is passionate about something you're passionate about. And although K-pop's getting a lot more popular than it was 3 years ago, 7 years ago, still people might roll their eyes at you. And if you're not a teenager, if you are older, people may really roll their eyes at you and think you're a weirdo. You're not a weirdo. If you're a weirdo, I'm a weirdo, and we're all in this together. So let's build a community and let's be excited about this music that we love and we're so passionate about. So happy to be here. Massive thank you to you, Meg, for being my first ever guest. What a special episode.
Thank you for having me. It was great. I can't wait to be
Uh,
back.
yes, so cool. Meg will be a contributor. You guys will see her again. Make sure you reach out to Meg. She is everything that like a good K-pop fan epitomizes. When I talked about how amazing some fans are, just so passionate, so knowledgeable, and on top of that, just like an amazing friend and a really cool person. So you guys
Thanks,
connect with
Emily.
Meg. You are. Mwah. Okay, I will see you next week. Everyone, stay safe, stay happy. Thank you for joining me on my first show. Love you. Bye.
Bye.